You are about to opt in to Monerotopia, a show for the Monero community where all are welcome to join. From noob to maxi, no matter what bags you hold. Just sit back and relax to the sweet sounds of Monero's latest progress. Or if you're feeling inspired, join us on stage. Remember, the only thing that can stop Monero is a false belief that it can be stopped. And if you want to win the revolution faster, we recommend you remove your XMR from all custodial exchanges immediately. Warning, voting accidents are common around here. Don't forget to properly secure your private keys. Monerotopia starts now.
Alrighty, good morning, good morning.
Alrighty, GM, everyone.
What's going on, man?
I'm back for another round.
It's a beautiful day in Monero land. You came back at a good time.
Yeah. We're getting pretty close to, I think, all-time highs, right?
Yeah. What are we at? What are we at right now?
455, 456.
All right. What was the all-time high? I guess Bawdy
I
has
think it was
those numbers,
around
like
500, but I wasn't there for it, so.
I was there. We've been waiting ever since. It's been a long time, man. It's been a long time coming. Holy shit. Honestly.
Yeah, the reported all-time high on CoinMarketCap is 517.
All right.
62. So there you go.
Okay. We got to have a 517 party as we blast through.
I know we blasted through 420, which is supposed to be the funny number.
Yeah, it's finally, maybe we'll start acting as support a little bit.
It was briefly resistance, hilariously enough, but now it's, probably going to start being support. So.
Can we make 420 the new 150? I mean, we were at 150 for like fucking 2 years.
Oh, yeah, for like 3 years. But I mean, that gave people time, you know? If you weren't paying attention, then, well, you missed out. Too bad.
Oh, yeah. There's plenty of time to accumulate Monero. Nobody can say, like, they didn't have a chance to buy, like, you got plenty of time. You've had plenty of time. The thing is, at some point, it's like a step function, right? At some point, it's just going to go up in price, you know? Like, and it'll never come back to those
Binance can't hold it down forever.
that we were used to. It will just at some point. I mean, yeah, they can only do so much. People actually use it. Yeah, so exciting to see. Very exciting to see. Great timing. We just had the New York City meetup last night. So it's definitely privacy season. I know.
Yeah, how did that go?
Kind of in a joking manner, but it really is. What's that?
Yeah, how did that go? Lots of Monero people show up?
Yeah, I mean, similar to last time. There was some of the same faces as last time. And some new people as well. We had Woodzer came out. I didn't get there till 7 o'clock, so I missed the talks. But Woodzer came out. He gave an update on Havino, which is cool. It was great just being able to chat with him. I met one of the guys working for Cake.
Yep.
Super awesome dude. I was chilling with him a lot, and he was giving me his insights on like Monero's tech and privacy. Obviously, super smart dude. Oh my god, he's done a lot for Monero. What's his name? I don't want to mispronounce. I don't even know if he's the Polish kid.
Yeah. Yeah, online he goes by Mr. Syjanik. He's on X.
Yes,
but yeah, he's done a lot of Monero work prior to joining Cake Wallet. Yeah, he's really smart. He's
awesome, dude. It sounds like he's done a lot of great things. Enjoyed speaking with him. And then just talking to everybody there. It was great. I let everybody know about Monerotopia, obviously. XMR Bazaar was presented before I even got there, which is cool. That was brought up. And yeah, good vibes. And then after that, another party like came in. There was some other party, but I thought it was going to be like but it wasn't even Bitcoin related. It was just
some other.
Yeah, it was like a Hanukkah party. It was like locals showing up to it. Like I was like, are they all like into Bitcoin? Like, is it like a a Bitcoin Hanukkah party. But no, it was just like people
That's
coming
hilarious.
out from around town, which I thought was interesting because I just kind of thought most people that go there are into like Bitcoin, but that's obviously not the case. It is an amazing. You've been there. It's a very. Yeah. It's a really amazing location in terms of if you know New York City, like that's an ideal spot. It's right next to NYU.
Yeah, good location. It's a cool little bar. I tried to go there this time. I couldn't quite make it happen. And also I have family coming over for Christmas and stuff. But the one that I would really like to go to is that newer one they opened in DC. That one looks really nice. I don't know if you've seen the pictures of it.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
huge.
yeah. Looks swank. Dude, we need a Monero bar. Come on, we need Vic opening up a Monero bar in New York. Forget this pub.
I think pub key's getting a little close to that, though. I'm not gonna lie. I think
know,
trying to embrace it a bit.
Vic is influencing it, obviously, which is awesome. Yeah, maybe we could get a more constant presence there. They should be accepting Monero natively there.
They really should.
Oh, here's my idea for Vic. I wanted to, so I'll tell you can pass this on to Vic. Like the whole POS system, there should be like that should be where Cake kind of tests its, potential like POS system type thing, right? Like if they could start accepting Monero natively for what they're selling there, and you guys can get something up and running.
Well, I feel like for them it would be most advantageous to just because they use BTC-based server already, and there's a Monero plugin for it. So I feel like
they are using BTC Pay. Okay,
they are. Yeah, so I feel like it would probably
they have Lightning, right? They
do. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
They run their own node and stuff.
Okay.
Because then they get all the other features that come alongside BTC Pay. That if we did ourselves, we would basically be building out.
Yeah. No, BTC Pay should be pretty. So that should be pretty awesome. So that's very easy for them to do at this point.
Yeah, it's not too difficult. It's if they set up a Lightning setup with BTC Pay, Monero is like nothing. So
it's just Vic having a conversation.
Yeah,
add Monero. They should do it. That'd be freaking awesome. Go buy some. They actually have some decent food there too. Burgers and stuff. I didn't eat there last night though. All right, we have Lando that's coming on. Lando Rothbardian. He'll be joining us. He is the guy that runs ShopinBit, which is basically a Monero accepting marketplace. If Monero is used there more than any other crypto, we'll bring him on. We're always excited about what's going on in ShopinBit. Yeah, so Lando's awesome. He's officially participating in Monerotopia this year. They'll be one of the sponsors. I hope they're going to make it. I think he's going to make it in person. We have a special discount code. You can use Monerotopia at ShopinBit. We'll get into this on the when I bring him up. But to buy your plane tickets and your hotel through Shop, so you could effectively come to Monerotopia and spend nothing but Monero. You can use Monero on ShopinBit to buy your plane tickets, to buy your hotel accommodations. Use the code Monerotopia, you get a discount, and then you can come live off of Monero at the conference. So you can effectively do all of Monerotopia with Monero, which is pretty cool. That's actually really cool.
That is really awesome.
Yes, and so they're the official travel partner of Monerotopia, I guess we could say. So excited to have them. We'll bring him up. I don't think we have Tony today, so Tux, if you could do the news. I have to get ready for a birthday party over here. Obviously, we have Bawdy. We'll do price report. I'm seeing Arctic Mine in the back. Oh boy, this is gonna be a big show today. This is gonna be Tux. You're gonna be running a big show after I leave. I could see it heating up.
Oh no.
Well, we'll have viewers on stage. We do kind of want to try to keep it to 4 hours today. I think at least, right?
Yeah, I'll have to dip at some point myself.
Yeah, I mean maybe shortwave could take over at the end if we're just doing viewers on stage. You could duck out. You could duck out if you need to. But I mean, price is pumping. We're nearing all-time highs. It's understandable. Monero people want to come hang out. Guys, like and share. Let's get more people in here. We actually don't have too many live viewers right now. Let's get a bunch of people in here. A lot of people are seeing Monero in their feed. I see there's a lot of Monero action, a lot more Monero posts on X right now. Obviously, people trying to like feed into the rising price. And now is the time too, because everything else is like either down or not really moving. So Monero and like Zcash, they're really sticking out right now. So people who don't even have never even heard of it are like seeing it for the first time. So. Good time. We got to strike when the iron is hot. So good time to push the word out on Monero. Agreed. 1987 tip 0.0005 XMR. What time do you start the chat every week? I haven't found the time posted anywhere. Is there some reason? The show starts 11 a.m. Saturday. It's always been 11 a.m. on Saturdays.
Eastern.
Yeah.
Standard time.
Referring to when we do viewers on stage, we do it at the end. We do it at the end of the show. So we have like
usually a couple hours in.
Yeah, it's a couple hours in. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and bring Lando up. Let's get it going.
All right, let's do the guest.
The Monerotopia guest segment is sponsored by Cake Wallet. Store, send, receive, and exchange your Monero and Bitcoin safely on iOS and Android too. Cake Wallet is open source, and you always control your own keys.
All right, Lando, how's it going, man?
Hello, guys. Thank you for the invitation. I'm doing fine. It's short before Christmas, so my Christmas spirit is up. I'm all jolly and golly, as you would say.
You're always like that. At least all my interactions with you have been like that. So that's good, man. Good attitude to have.
Life is hard already, so why not take it with a pinch of extra joy when you can, and especially if you have nice conversations with people who value privacy in the same way that you do. It's quite natural, right? Right.
Awesome, man. And so I guess it's busy season too with ShopinBit, right? I imagine you see an uptick during the holidays, right?
Exactly. It's now kind of a little bit toning down, of course, because it's like only 2 business days until Christmas is happening.
Yeah.
So there's not much shipping going on, but still travel arrangements are to be met. Since I don't know if you have seen it, right? We launched our app last month, which finally eliminates the end boss of my sleepless nights of providing even more privacy. Emails, they are gone now. So I'm super happy that we can offer our concierge services. That's kind of actually what is our main business. Like, I think most people still think that the shop itself is our main business, but that changed in the last year quite dramatically. So that's why we are more now on calling us the crypto concierge and living the good life on crypto instead.
So tell us more about it. I've never used it. I gotta give it a try. Been thinking about these concepts quite a bit.
Yeah.
How does it work exactly?
Well, technically, there's a very simple problem, regardless of if you're using Monero or some of the other coins, right? How can you use them directly without doing invasive KYC just to buy stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we come in. You could say, okay, all right, sure. Sounds kind of easy, but that's not it, right? What we try to do is to help people live the best life they can with their crypto. So it's not just about buying things, but to buy experiences. Like, for example, you want to go to Monerotopia, but you hate fiat money. So what do? Okay, you could, of course, exchange to vouchers. That is an option, kind of annoying. Or you could pay the same and get expert advice on how to travel the best to Mexico City. And
right, you get the convenience. So you could effectively, and you could buy things. Obviously, plane tickets you can't buy anonymously because at the end, you're right. Are there other things you could essentially buy anonymously via the concierge, essentially?
That's a very important distinction that I have to make. So since we are a legal company based in Poland in the EU, right, we cannot offer anonymity. What we offer is privacy, right? So we store the data only for the time that we need to process your order or give you your tickets. And as soon as you received your product or your tickets, it's 30 days that they stay on our system, and then they get pseudonymized. So we can still do our accounting, of course, but there's nothing to hack, right? So,
right, but customers are essentially KYC'd with any interaction with the concierge. If they're like, if I just want to go and be like, hey, I want to buy this, it's like, all right, I need your name and whatever.
We need to ship it somewhere. That's
right, the shipping
extent
address,
of KYC and
okay.
the travel arrangements like plane tickets.
Yeah,
we need to provide the airline
right,
with some information. So
yeah,
there is no way to travel anonymously. You can have a little bit more privacy, I guess, if you would charter a jet, but that is not, I think, what most of our customers are coming to us. I think a more
they want convenience.
They want convenience, and sometimes it's like a more regular, down-to-earth example. Like you could say the classic Simpsons family, right? So you have 3 children, and you want to do vacation, and most people think, how difficult can that be? Yeah, so if you have children that are 2 years old, 7 years old, and 14, then you have 3 different types of activities that you either can or cannot do. And instead of thinking about, okay, like we have this one customer group, they're like always going for big trips, like going to Japan from Europe, right? And what do you do with a 2-year-old? You cannot do any Iaido or karate training because they will get bored in a few seconds. But also you need something to do with the 14-year-olds and the 7-year-old that you have, right? So you can offload all this extra, mental baggage that you have to bring into the experience before it even starts. Or offload it to us and say, hey, it's a family trip. I personally like cultural things. So I want to see the temples, I want to see the shrines, I want to see the castles, but my wife, she's an anime geek, so we need to see the Bandai Namco museum, check out the One Piece statues and stuff. And I don't know, right? I'm just making this up on the spot, but technically that's like the idea, right? And
sounds like you've been to Japan a couple of times. Sounds like
it's still on my bucket list.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's still on my bucket list. Same goes for Mexico. So
you haven't been there yet.
So
You gotta come. You gotta come.
Yeah. So I'll be joining Monerotopia in person.
Awesome. Fantastic.
As well. So travel arrangements are already met. Right?
Nice.
Concierge
yourself.
Yes, I consider. Well, I'm not the one doing the.
It's
expert.
You're literally the one guy running all.
That would be pretty cool, I guess. But our travel guy is Traven Keith. He is an absolute maverick when it comes to traveling. He lived in 44 countries, from Svalbard to Fiji.
So firsthand.
Yeah. So he knows all the crazy travel stuff. You should probably get him. You should probably get him on and just do a travel section with, like, what should you do with your Monero?
Welcome to do that. Definitely
travel with Traven, right? And he does all the tricks, and he manages all our partnerships with the airlines and the hotels and so forth.
So most of the concierge, most of the things that are, it's all related to travel, or people are like buying other things through the concierge?
No.
It's the vast majority travel.
No, it's a big chunk, but leaving out the cars, it's I would say travel is like 40%, and 60% is concierge. Cars are a little bit extra because, like, even if you just sell a few cars, it's like ballooning already quite hard, because 2 weeks ago someone ordered a Tesla Cyber Beast, so getting that imported into EU is already like A, super complicated, and B, super expensive. Right, because I don't know if you know this, but the regulations on cars are quite different between the US and the EU. And technically the Cybertruck is a weapon in the EU because of the front steel plates that are
God.
like they literally we have to retrofit the car with a special company from Switzerland, and they retrofit it so the front does not impale any pedestrians if it should hit them, and that's part of the EU regulation, and that's why it makes it so difficult to get a Cybertruck in any kind of form into the EU, because you have to retrofit them, and then they have to
You would
go
think, wow, so Elon didn't care. He's like, you know what? I don't care if all of Europe can't buy it. Wow, good for him.
Don't care because, well, I guess since he has the first-hand experience with his factory in Berlin, he thinks the Germans can't afford the Cybertruck anymore. Oh, sorry, man. I'm throwing shade at the wrong place. Let's stay positive in the Christmas spirit, right? But no, it's not just travel and cars, but also general concierge is just like,
awesome.
I don't know. You forgot to buy a Christmas gift for your wife, or you have no clue what to give her, right?
Yes.
So you would send our concierge a message on our.
I'll be using as soon as I get off this. I'll be using this to buy Sunita's last minute gift with Monero. I'll be like, whatever you can do.
Exactly. You would like give us some information, like, okay, it's for my spouse, and she likes, I don't know, Grey's Anatomy. Like, I'm just fishing in the dark here. But still, I'm not doxing anyone, I guess, with this false information, right? She's a big fan of Grey's Anatomy, so I don't know. We would try to find something that is either medical based but still cool or something like that. I don't know. Like that's also not my team is doing that. They have some great ideas, and they awesome. Helping people on a general basis. But sometimes it's also just simple things like, hey, I have Monero. I would like to receive it in a parcel locker. Like, I need a RTX 5090 Ti because, I need to beef up my PC, right? So it's pretty straightforward, right? Mm-hmm. So you just, if you can, it's kind of like using AI, but without the AI, because we have only like real human concierges, right? So if you can,
I'm sure that they're obviously using AI, right? But it's different, like, because it's like, it's a different experience.
Yeah, no, but when you're interacting with us, it's always human interactions. We're not passing it on to AI. So that's how can you provide privacy with AI, right? That's kind of oxymoron, right? So
no, I'm saying they probably they research with AI.
Yeah, that's sure, of course. Like who's not using AI?
But you have the human in between, which is interesting. I mean, it's hard to. So you intend on keeping it that way, or it's if you want it to scale, I mean, eventually you would somehow want
like I think it's very important to keep the human interaction in general, especially in such a tech heavy space as the crypto space, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because why remove the most important parts of general interactions, which is talking to a genuine human, right? Because if I wanted to talk to a guessing machine, then you kind of don't need the concierge service, right? You have the AI, it's heuristics, right? It guesses what you want to hear, but it will never have any ideas of its own, right? So if you will just break down Harry Potter as an idea, right? You have high school drama and the Lord of the Rings, and you combine that and you get Harry Potter, right? But the AI can only give you high school drama and Lord of the Rings because it knows these things, but it can't combine it in the specific form that you would say, right, okay, Harry Potter, chosen child, he needs to have a lightning bolt scar on his forehead, and you need to focus on the interpersonal connections and what it means to grow up in a family that kind of is your blood, but they don't understand what you're about, right? So the AI can never do this, but humans can, and that's why I'm betting on humans and not on AI. But for general research stuff, of course, AI is faster, better, whatever, right?
Yeah, of course.
It still makes mistakes, and I want to make sure that, I've been in this game for since 2011, right? And there have been so sometimes, like, I feel we are backtracking in progress of when it comes to adoption or general usage or general impression of the public of what crypto or Bitcoin or Monero in general just means, right? Because like what my personal gripe is the whole new school of Michael Saylorites who are just about Bitcoin is an investment. We should hodl. Self-custody of Bitcoin is kind of stupid. You can just buy my stock and all that shit, right? It's just, sorry, I have no better English term for it. Like, it's super annoying for me to see that our idea of, freedom of transactions, self-custody, and as much privacy as possible, and, the big thing, peer-to-peer cash, being sidelined for this Wall Street type of banker bullshit bingo video and presentation shit that looks like someone threw everything into the AI slot machine and turned it into 21 poems about why Bitcoin is so great. And yeah, sorry, I'm starting ranting again. You need to cut me off at some point.
I'm enjoying it. You do it well. So wait, let me ask you. In terms so what is like the general margin there? Like, what is the what are people paying?
So we have
essentially like
super simple pricing system, right? So for concierge and cars, it's 10% of the purchase price, and for the travel, it's 10% on top of our wholesale and agency prices. So that means in most cases, you're either on par or a little bit more expensive. But since we have partnerships with all the major airlines and hotel lines, you usually don't see a big difference or any at all. Right. And of course, since we are like having official partnerships, sometimes you get free extra leg room or extra check-in bag, or I don't know. It really depends on where you want to go and what is possible there. Right. So just... man. Yeah, that's
how many years have you been doing this now? ShopinBit's been around for a while now.
2018.
2018.
Yeah. So
when did Monero got added in when? Like 2020?
I think 2022? Was 2019 already.
Oh, really? Okay.
Like the end of 2019 or beginning of 2020. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. And so, what are the numbers? Like, what are the numbers looking like with the coins right now?
It's super
simple. Please tell us.
So, like this year, Monero has been since with November, it has been 7 times #1 spots. Most used coin with our service, not only with the shop and also with our concierge service. And I can already spoiler it since it's the 20th of December and there's no chance Bitcoin can, take the lead again like it's Mario Kart and firing a blue shell. So if you're not like going to buy like 3 or 4 Lamborghinis in Bitcoin from us, then there's no chance. So Monero again is with a 99.9% chance #1 on ShopinBit also for December. That means 8 months of 2025 have been Monero dominated. Like there's no other term you can just, it's Monero domination. And I think it's...
So what percentage is Monero like this month?
I think more than 50%.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have the concrete number, but usually it's about like, sometimes it's 4 or 5% more than Bitcoin, but this month it's like...
What are the coins you have right now?
So we accept directly Monero, Bitcoin, Lightning, and USDT on Tron. And we accept also over 2,000 other coins with our exchange partner, Exolix. They are integrated also in our app directly. So
okay.
Yeah.
Very
so
nice.
You can use... Technically, you can use any coin that they support. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But...
that's amazing.
Yeah, but... Yeah, like I'm not so much surprised because the price of Monero has been quite stable, you could say. But also the whole MiCA, DCA8, and all these other regulations that the EU put in place, and what is it, FTAF, travel rules shit and stuff, kind of makes it not so smart to use Bitcoin for your everyday purchases, only if you have like no other option. And it's funny because here in the chat, someone was asking about what's the safe coins accepting without getting tainted, right? And I asked our law firm that, and he was like, so what coins do you accept? I'm like, Bitcoin and USDT. And it's like, okay, so you should really think about chain analysis because it's quite dangerous that you're getting tainted coins. I'm like, but our main income currently is like Monero. And he was like, oh yeah, okay, then you're cool. That was a shorter conversation.
Who was that?
Our lawyer.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Our law firm, like... they are specialized in crypto dealings in Poland. So if they don't, if they say that's the case, then that's the case. Yeah. So we've been recommending.
So almost like recommending. Oh really?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Like if for the maximum amount of privacy, you should just use Monero and just be done with it. It's like
they have to know what's the best,
That's amazing to hear that.
Exactly.
People are using it out of actual utility. Like it makes
sense. Even if you're like a hardcore Bitcoin hodler, like I have a good story about this actually. It's kind of relating to the whole privacy and cybersecurity thing. So there's a new scam going on that people are trying with places like us. So they would put an order in and see, okay, that's our USDT address, right? And then they check out the transaction history of what is on the chain, and then they would make a new order and say that they paid this amount and send us transaction IDs. I'm like, this is no proof of nothing. It's kind of a stupid type of scam, right? Of course, who would fall for that? Yes, of course, people would fall for that because there are merchants that are not so deep into the whole crypto space, and then as like we do, right? We're like
just the fact that you
deep in, right?
That somebody can do that and see that data and like mess with it. I mean, it's just going to lead to problems.
Exactly. So, but with Monero, that's sure. Yeah, show me transaction ID, of course, right?
That's super cool that like attorneys in Poland are like, you should use Monero.
No, well, he did not recommend using Monero, but he was like, okay, you can then kind of skip on the chain analysis part.
Okay.
That's good. But it's like sometimes you just gotta use what's useful to you. I think in general, I've come to terms with that. I don't think most people understand that I'm not like a crypto or Bitcoin maximalist first. I'm ANCAP first. That's why I call myself Lando Rothbardian and not Nakamoto or something like that, right? Because for me, it's about privacy and freedom, right? And I want to live my life as free and private as possible. And I will use the tools that are available to me to achieve that goal, right?
Exactly.
And
especially when you're building a marketplace, right? Because I share that too with XMR Bazaar, right? Like the goal is perfect marketplace, peer-to-peer marketplace, right?
Exactly.
And may the best tools, win, and they will, right?
Exactly. But on the other hand, people should have a choice, right? So it's not like you can of course say, hey, I'm only doing XMR, or as the other guys doing, I'm Bitcoin only, and all that shit. Of course you can do that, but I will quote Mises in a very weird way, right? That's because Mises said racism is economical stupidity. I'm paraphrasing, right? So technically, saying, hey, I only accept coin X and I don't accept fiat and I don't accept it's the same idea, right? Because
100%.
You're running a business and the idea is that you generate revenue, right? And the revenue has to come from somewhere. Some people prefer using USDT because they're already like, I don't know, fully exposed with KYC coins. They don't care, they pay taxes, or they live in jurisdictions where it doesn't make a difference, right? So why don't offer them USDT, right? You can personally, I'm not the biggest fan of USDT, right? Or you can hate the idea of USDT, of course, but from a straight business perspective, it's just money. As long as you can exchange it to the currency that you prefer to have in the end, why not? Why not?
We are launching a companion site to XMR Bazaar, by the way. That will be multi-coin. So it'll tie into the same database. So if you're a maxi, you could just log into XMR Bazaar. But if you're open to seeing other cryptos, and basically anybody can then, choose to add additional means of acceptance, right? So they don't just they could say, all right, I also accept, Xano, Pirate Chain.
Yeah.
Whatever
floats your boat.
Keep it private, privacy coins only.
Okay.
But it'll be a companion site. So, but for those reasons that you're talking about, right? And it's just going to bring in more people that are looking to spend, more people that are looking to, just participate in a peer-to-peer marketplace.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Awesome, man. So you have any big ideas you're willing to share with us in terms of where you see things headed with ShopinBit? Like the concierge thing sounds awesome. Like, what are you thinking? Like, what are you? What's the next evolution?
I think the biggest step was that our app went online. I think that was our biggest drawback was that we're still confined to the whole shop ecosystem that we built over the years, which served its purpose. But now, since we're like doubling down on the whole concierge service as it's our main revenue bringer by far, like there was quite skyrocketing revenue share that's coming in from just the concierge. And now that we have my dream interface of, like, when you're using it, you just get a restore key, which is like 6 words. And with that, you can access your request to us, but you don't have to have an email address or stuff like that. Everything is in the app, and it's a PWA app. So you don't actually have to install it through an app store. You just literally open the website, app.shopinbit.com, and then you add it to your home screen, and it works like an app. It even has push notifications if you opt into them, right? So yeah, that's like the first step. We have some cool features coming to the app as well. I hope it will. Yeah, that's our regular site, and you see already there that everywhere it says ShopinBit app, and you can check out what we offer there.
Now, do you offer it as an app as well that you can download, like a iOS or Android app, or no? You're saying
you don't need to. It's just a PWA app. That means your browser will offer you to install it. Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. That's. Yeah, you just have to accept our privacy policy, and then you select the service that you would want to have, right? So if you want to go to Monerotopia, you would go to travel, of course, and then read our travel order guidelines, because there's some rules to it. Because, well, our lawyers, right? You only have to do this one time, that you understand what we have, because, well, we had some problems with illegal questions in the past. So that's why there are guidelines, right? And in this case, I guess you would just go with flights and hotels, right? That's a pretty straightforward path. And then you would type in your departure country and departure city. And so for that, it's like 8 questions, I think. And then, it's 10 steps actually in total. So now it's only 7, right? And then you can say, okay, I want to go to a single destination, or I want to visit multiple regions in the same country, or if you want to do a world tour, and then you would say, okay, right, multiple countries. Or if you have like no clue, I need recommendation, then you get a text field, and then you can say, yeah, nice. All right, yeah, I have no clue, but I like the sun, right? And also you can plan with exact dates, put a little bit of flexibility in there. Or you say, all right, I want to go in, spring 2027 or something like that. Yeah, as you can see here, you first choose the year, and then the month or the seasonal window. But you first, of course, have to select the year. And then you see, all right, okay, yeah, where do I want to go? You can either select how long you want to stay there, or describe if you want to stay longer, and then it's pretty intuitive, right? You just go through the whole process and then have all your questions answered. Like, okay, 2 adults or 1 adult, and then you can set your budget, so we know, okay, if you have the Monero to spend, you can just move the slider all to the right, and then it just says no limits, right? So then it's like, okay, I want
endless
to have endless possibilities, right? And right. And then we'll ask you some questions about what you prefer, how you want to fly, and what your general trip purpose is, right? And that's what I alluded to earlier when I said, okay, here you would select family trip, and then write something more about, hey, my kids are age yada yada yada, and I want to see that, and like what's your biggest travel pain point, Douglas? Like, when you go to travel, what is like the number one thing that's like on your nerve?
Dealing with Sunita, I'd say, is probably number one.
That's the worst kind of answer you could have given.
Oh man, she's gonna kill me.
Yeah, but again, that's like that's the.
No, we have a great time traveling.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's grabbing the tickets. Obviously, I would love to be able. So when do you speak to the concierge? So at some point after you provide all the information, then it turns into
exactly.
a chat.
So in the window before, you would have put in Monerotopia, so you get 50. Okay, you went back with the.
I think I did the browser instead of the.
Dang it. Yeah, no, never mind. But you saw the summary there for a second, and in the summary, there is the button for confirm and create request, right? And then you're in the chat, in the chat you can just then you directly talk to our concierges. They try to answer as fast as possible. It's currently it takes a little bit longer than usual, so it's about sometimes 1 business day, but usually it's just a few hours. And we try to answer as fast as possible. Since we are real people, it's not an AI that's answering you. So we need to first, of course, read your request, understand what you want, already provide you with some options. And I think the biggest upside for all of your viewers and for you yourself is, of course, for the concierge and travel, there are no upfront fees, right? So we already tell you what we will do, which hotels we will pick, and how you will get there. And then you get a final price offer. And then as soon as you accept the offer, you have to pay the full price upfront, and then we start working. But before that, nothing is happening. With the cars, it's a little bit different, because cars are like super complicated, and we cannot just for the lulz search for the Tesla Cyber Beast or a Lamborghini Aventador or Rolls-Royce Phantom, because yes, we had these kind of joke requests. So we have a research fee of 223 euros for cars, and this research fee gets credited if you buy a car. So that's like, that keeps us safe from spending too much time on a research for a car that you don't actually intend to buy. And we have the time to you check it out when you go to the car sections. You see it directly. Again, you see we have a minimum order of 20,000 euros, because for cars below that, the effort is not worth it. So I'm sorry if you're looking for small or cars. But it's again simple interface. You first understand, you type in which country you are, because different types of countries have different types of regulations, right? You can also type in the name of the brand, or if we don't have it in our database, then exactly, like type in the model, if you what condition you want to have, and then you just describe the car. It's pretty straightforward. So here again, that's a little bit not enough.
Skip through.
You can just skip through, because we need some more information. The more precise you are up front, the faster you get a response, of course, because we don't have to do back and forth with like extra questions, right? Yeah, and then also you can add some files if you want to, like have pictures or other configurations that you already prepared in a PDF or something. Again, you have the option to go balls deep with a no limit slider if you want to. Yeah, right. And here you already come to the payment, right? This is for the research fee, 223 euros, paid one time per search. And when you click on confirm continue, already our you have to type in a billing address because we are a legal company. So it's a billing address that we need to have. So because in Europe you cannot type anonymous has bought this service, right? You just type in the information that we can put on the invoice, and that's okay. Later on, of course, when you want to purchase the car, you need to provide some real data so we can ship. Yeah, and there you can see it, right? You can pay with Monero, and you see the amount there. And if you want to use other cryptos that are not Monero, you can click on pay with other cryptos, and then you just have to wait a few seconds that it loads, because the list of exotics is dynamic, and it's quite, so right, you can now type in a coin that you would want to use. Use Ethereum, and then it calculates how much it would be approximately, and then you can go proceed to exchange, and then it generates a new code for you. It just takes a few seconds. And so you now have a deposit address for Ethereum, then you can send it there. Exotics exchanges it into what we want, and that's kind of it.
Very nice.
Exactly. Smooth, slick, very slick.
That's
and then at that point, then you enter into the conversation with the person.
Exactly. Then as soon as it's paid, it shows you, hey, okay, this is your request, and then it already also states, of course, with in our backend, hey, the client has paid a research fee, and then you're treated with your personal concierge to take care of all things that you might want to have solved.
Amy V is saying Sunita deserves a nice present for Christmas from ShopinBit.
That's true.
This is true. I have no excuse.
You have no excuse, because you can use it with Monero, and we can drop it off at wherever you want to have it, or have it specially delivered.
Yeah, you were asking me like pain points. Like, I would totally love to just be able to essentially have an assistant where I could be like, listen, we're looking to go to Mexico City this week.
Yeah.
Get us the plane tickets, find us a hotel.
Yeah, exactly.
I would definitely see value in that.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
For whatever. So you pay, and essentially like what you're saying with that type of stuff, you end up paying the same amount you'd be paying if you did it on your own, because you're getting the benefits of the fact that you guys have all these deals with all these partners, and then whatever you add your 10% fee on that, it ends up probably being around the same thing anyway. So for the convenience, for sure, and then being able to spend the Monero, right? Like,
that's what I always
very enticing.
So I kind of built the system for myself. So that's what I would love to see, like in the. So you asked me what my big plan is. My big plan is that we don't talk about crypto, Monero, or whatever anymore, and just live your life, because any cryptocurrency is just a fucking tool. You need to understand this. Like, your life is precious, your time is precious. Privacy should be as easy as putting on a code, right? And my personal opinion is privacy by default, or you have no privacy at all. It's, you got to use the tools that are available that offer the most privacy to you in the most convenient way, right? And focus on, building relationships, finding meaning in your life, raising a family. I don't know what floats your boat, if you want to have like, cool parties, or build a company, or I don't know, right? Or if you just want to live outside in the woods, right? I can imagine that some of your listeners will be like, hey, you know what? I fucking hate this whole technology shit. I want to live in a fucking hut that's a Faraday cage and be offline 24/7 and read Tolstoy books until I die, or something like that. And that's cool.
There's probably quite a few of those, in Monero.
Right? Yeah, but that's like, I don't know how your good life will look like, right? And I hope that we at ShopinBit, so my team and I, can help you achieve it. And that's for me like the biggest achievement, that my team is responsible for improving the quality of life of all our customers. Like, they come to us to improve their quality of life. They have a good time, and they don't need to worry about data leaks, privacy issues, tainted coins, or that some of our staff would start spying on their wallet balances and shit. No, you just use Monero, and for your ultra paranoid users that you might have, I don't know if maybe you have seen it when Douglas was scrolling through our app. There is an ultra privacy mode for the hardcorest of hardcore privacy nerds. So it literally does not allow any local storage of any data, right? The app itself is already built with local storage, right? So we store like the pseudonym that you used for the first time because it looks cool when it says, hey, welcome back, John Doe, right? Instead of, oh yeah, hi, welcome to ShopinBit app, right? And also, like, if you have understood the guidelines and any open tickets or requests that you already have, because you saw that there's the restore key where you can type it in to return to the request that is stored locally, right? But you can also deactivate that if you're like the guy that uses a Graphene OS phone, is approaching the TSA and think, okay, maybe I should not show them that I can spend my Monero quite privately. So you activate ultra privacy mode, and then there's nothing on the phone left. It's just an app you have installed it, I don't know, whatever, or you just, reboot your Graphene OS phone, and then they cannot read out of it. So that's like, yeah, keep it simple. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We got some tips here. Kevin tipped 0.001 XMR. I'm still spending my XMR despite price FOMO. Let's go.
Excellent. Right. Excellent. Yeah. Thank you very much. If you should be spending it with us, I cannot confirm, neither deny. So
yeah.
But you should, yeah.
You should see more spending too as price goes up, right? People are willing to kind of cash in.
No
Ravi tips 0.0012 XMR. Well, yeah, why no shipping to India? Is ShopinBit for EU customers primarily?
That is only for our store. So please use our app. There it is internationally. The store only delivers to the EU because it's quite complicated with some of our providers, but we can also get you any of the products that we have in the shop through our app. That does not make a price difference. You don't pay 10% extra.
Okay, so some people don't realize that the concierge service applies to everyone.
Yes, the concierge service for everyone. So it doesn't matter as long as you're not in a country that belongs to the EU sanction list. So that's like Russia, Syria, Iran, and I think like 2 or 3 other countries. But India is not part of it. So please feel free, if you want to spend some XMR, to contact our concierge team through the ShopinBit app. That's the best way to use ShopinBit. Yeah.
You should make that clear so people know. People might be.
Yeah. We need to rework our regular shop as well. That's what we're planning for Q1 and Q2. We are focused more on the products that are actually like in high demand, and will also reduce the scope a little bit because like it's quite a lot of efforts, but our concierge service provides already a lot of service in any kind of direction. So, but that is a good question from Luxurious Luminaire. No, we cannot help you purchase real estate in the EU, at least. If you're outside of the EU, we can help that, but it's not illegal to do it in the EU. But there's so much regulation that it's kind of technically illegal, so don't bother with it. It's like, if you're in the EU, no real estate. And no precious metals in general. Sorry, that's also a no-go. There's a list. We have a few things. I think last time when I was here on Monero Talk, you already said, oh, that's only the boring stuff. Yeah.
Freaking EU, man. Jesus. Slow you down.
that is, but with some things I don't want to be associated with, like with weapons, for example.
Yeah,
or
course.
Prescription medicine in general, right?
Yeah.
But with real estate, it's just, it's so much hassle, and in the end, in the EU, you technically can't do it like in a privacy preserving way, right? So we decided to say, okay, no, sorry, in the EU we can't help you, but outside of the EU there are some options. That always depends again on the jurisdiction, so this is not a general yes, but that's a good point that I can put forward here if you are interested in sending us requests. So we check all requests if we can actually legally provide them before you pay anything, right? So if you get an offer from us, it was already checked if it's like a weird case, right, that we haven't had before, which become narrower in the future, of course, and are already more than it was like 2 years ago. So when we present you with an actual offer, that means we checked it, it's legal, and we can ship it to you, right? So there's no surprises afterwards. If there should be happening any, I don't know, from our side, any problem like suppliers saying, no, sorry, we can't do that. Sometimes happens, right? Sometimes suppliers back out and say, no, we sold it to another person because XYZ reason happens, right? You get the exact same amount of cryptocurrency back that you sent to us. So if you send 10 XMR, we send you back 10 XMR. That's what's the smallest nominator of Monero? I forgot again.
Pico Nero.
A Pico Nero? Okay. Yeah, so not one Pico Nero less, you get exactly the same amount. So it's better for both sides. For our accounting, it's easier, and for you, you have no Monero loss or gain. So that stays level. Yeah.
Yeah, you may have to change the name. ShopinPico, ShopinBit. I don't know. What would it be if it was...
I don't know.
If you were to move over to
this joke has been floating around for like years. I think I don't know him personally, but Unstoppable was it on?
Yes,
on Twitter or X or however it's called. See, that's my point, right? X, Twitter, what is it now? Right? People are accustomed to things, but
exactly.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe I have a better idea for a name like our Shopinero. Yeah, classic. Yeah, I think it was like recommended like 5 times already. So maybe we'll change it to that, right? I don't know if it brings too much scrutiny from regulators, but that's what we got the lawyers for, I guess. So I need to pay them just more. So please, if you have any urges that you want to fulfill with your Monero, we need to pay some lawyers.
extra cost.
Extra cost. Yeah. It's a difficult business. Like that's, but you can of course just have a good time, right? Because like I've seen some websites where you need to do KYC just because you want to buy a flight ticket for like 200 euros or something. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? We're smoking crack. I'm not even doing KYC when I pay with fiat money, and now with crypto I have to do it. Like, put the pipe down, man. Like, jeez. it's like I don't understand. Like, it's yeah. But no, I don't want to get riled up again. So,
well, things are looking a little bit better in the U.S. in terms of where things might be headed with regulations, to be determined. But there's some positive signs.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. That's like.
Yeah, but Europe things are getting worse right now, right?
Europe is always getting worse. That's like will the sun go up in the morning and go down in the evening? That's the same type of question. Like with the EU, it's like every year they have new regulations and new ideas how to make life more miserable. But yeah, sometimes you don't have a particular choice where you can go, but.
So wait, is Monero on any centralized exchanges right now in Europe?
Nope. On none.
Right. It's crazy.
Yeah. So I think we're actually one of the only left EU spending places, apart from XMR Bazaar, of course, and Cake Wallet, I guess, but they're not technically in the EU. So
I think DFX still.
Right, but they are in Switzerland. That's technically.
Oh, that's right.
EU.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Wait, what are we saying? So DFX still has Monero listed.
Yeah.
But you're saying that's only.
Well, they operate in EU.
They operate in the EU, but I don't think they can offer Monero for clients that are not based in Switzerland. I'm not 100% sure, so please don't.
Yeah, where are we seeing all the, what's that, Tux, what's that service that's being used over there where people are checking out like seamlessly with Monero?
Open Crypto Pay.
Open Crypto Pay. Yeah, where is that?
That is with the SPAR.
In Switzerland as well.
That is in Switzerland,
yeah. Was it with the SPAR supermarkets? Is it that one?
Yeah, when I was over there, I went to a SPAR and you could pay with Monero directly or use Bitcoin or Lightning.
Yeah, that's.
We got to do a Monerotopia in Switzerland. I mean, it sounds like it's really gaining traction there. No, I don't know. I don't see that happening anywhere.
I mean, what it looked like is that no one really used it. Like we were all the weirdos coming in using this thing that they implemented that no one really used. It was cool that it was there, but it's not like everyone was coming to use it.
It's not gaining adoption.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Everyone likes their Apple Pay or whatever.
How cool would it be if all of Switzerland was using Monero? That'd be pretty.
They might be, but I think Switzerland has like a lot of freedom in general. So I don't think there's like the big kind of demand that you would need
They
to
don't
make
really have a
Monero
need.
interesting.
Yeah.
Because you can use Swiss francs everywhere and super seamless, and you already have lots of privacy by default, even though the Swiss government seems to be head over heels infatuated with EU type of communism, I guess. But it's like still way better than what is going on in the EU. But there's like they have no particular needs for that level of privacy. So it's like, okay, just use Bitcoin. Just use Swiss francs, or not even use the Bitcoin itself, right? I'm not speaking for all Swiss people, but that was just my experience last year with Switzerland, that it's like, okay. Sure, I could technically use my Bitcoin, but my PostFinance bank account is also quite fast and instantaneous. Yeah.
Where do you think the most crypto adoption is happening in Europe? Like real adoption, like people actually using it?
Probably no place public. I think so. What I can say is, without doxing some of our clients, is that there are quite more people who are using Monero on a daily basis or accepting it for their business than you think there are, right? And as long as the trajectory of the EU is still totalitarian, I think we will always have customers who want to spend their money, not because they're running illegal businesses, but they just don't care or neither want to go through the hassle of KYC processes just because they want to buy something. Like, it's their own money, it's all taxed. And I think that is something that Brussels is totally overestimating what people will put up with. Because there's, like, I think the people who are interested in Monero, they are already either in it or will come there to this conclusion pretty fast as soon as they try to spend their Bitcoin on some type of service that does not accept their coins directly, like we do with BTC Pay Server and others, as you already alluded to. The pub key in New York, they also accept it directly. And that's like what keeps the regulators at bay, because you have the freedom of contracts, and this is a main staple of the law, I guess, in Western countries. So as long as there is no specific ban on cryptocurrencies or a cryptocurrency in general, you are free to accept whatever you want directly. Because from the EU perspective, like, technically you can just accept cows as payment, like the big mooing animals that produce milk, right? It's no problem. You just have to provide an invoice where you provide an exchange rate of cows to euros and then pay your taxes in euros. So as long as you stay with that mentality, that you always accept the coins directly, no third-party payment service provider, you can provide a pretty seamless service to your clients, even in the EU. Right? I don't know if that even answers your question correctly, because it was a detour again. Sorry, guys.
I learned from that detour. It was good.
Yeah.
All right, man. Super excited that you'll be coming down to Monerotopia, to Mexico. Very excited for that. I think you'll have a good time there. You'll have a lot of amazing conversations.
I'm super hyped. Like,
we'll get you on stage, obviously, right? You want to give you wanted to give a talk, right?
Yes. I had some time to think about what I should talk about in 2026, because I chose a conference sabbatical for 2025, because I was at the end of 2024 was super fed up with the conferences that I saw, and it was always the same yapping points about number go up, who will integrate Bitcoin next, or which Wall Street ETF, and all that jibber jabber that I really couldn't care less about. And I wanted to get back with myself and why I came into the space in the first place. And I have a cool few, I think they are cool ideas. That's, of course, for the visitors of Monerotopia to decide if it's actually cool. So I will prepare it in a more, prepared form. Is that the right term? Sorry. You can hear that. My last podcast or interview was in December 2024. So it's been almost exactly a year. So it's the first time I'm back with a public experience.
Honored to have you here.
Yeah. And I thought it's quite fitting to come back to Monerotalk and Monerotopia then.
I think Monerotopia will be right up your alley in terms of not hearing number go up and talks of ETF. You're going to enjoy
that's
for sure.
That's what I'm hoping for. That's why I'm super honored that we are able to sponsor as well and be the official travel partner.
Yes.
For Monerotopia. So I forgot actually for your people who want to buy the Monerotopia VIP tickets, there will be also a special discount code that you will receive from the Monerotopia team. The regular Monerotopia discount gives you already €50 discount on your first order through our app. It only works through the app, so please use that for our concierge service. But for the VIP ticket buyers, they get €100 discount on the first order and guaranteed first response time in 2 to 4 hours. So that means you get the full VIP treatment from us as well. And so
awesome.
please buy VIP tickets to Monerotopia.
We got to get that code out to everybody that bought the VIP tickets. We'll make sure we'll do that tomorrow. Try to get that out there. Wow, so yet another reason to get a VIP ticket. That's awesome. We only have a few of those left, by the way. Honestly, I don't even know if we're reaching being capped out with those. And then the other code is just Monerotopia for the general code, right?
Exactly. Just use it in the app.
Awesome.
app.shopinbit.com, or just go to shopinbit.com and you see it everywhere. We have plastered the app everywhere. You cannot miss it.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much for doing this. You're welcome to stick around if you'd like, but if you don't have time,
I would love to.
I know you're running an empire over there. And
no, it's actually about
family life.
It's family life. Because I promised my wife that I would help a little bit more since I'm working quite a lot, as you can imagine, during the week. But we have all the family coming next week, and we need to tidy up some things.
I hear you there, brother.
Yeah.
There's only so much time in a day.
Exactly.
All right, man. Thank you. And look forward to see you down in Mexico in a month or so. February 12th to the 15th. Yeah. It'll be Excellent. 2 months. All right, man.
Hyped. Thank you very much again. Have a nice evening, and to all your listeners and viewers, Merry Christmas and have a Happy New Year. And I hope to speak to you personally at Monerotopia. So if you're down in Mexico City and want to chat about, Kirby Air Riders, my current favorite video game, please come up to me or talk about privacy as well. I'm open for all topics. So
there'll be no shortage of conversations. I promise you that.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. I'm actually going to go ahead and play the Monerotopia promo video real quick. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Lando, we'll see you later, man.
Peace.
Adios.
Tendrás cenizo el pelo, pero serás más hermosa. Tendrás cenizo el pelo, pero serás más hermosa. En la Candelaria cuando llegará, en la Candelaria cuando llegará, en la Candelaria cuando llegará, cuando llegará, cuando llegará. En la Candelaria cuando llegará, en la Candelaria cuando llegará, en la Candelaria cuando llegará, cuando llegará, cuando llegará. En la Candelaria cuando llegará, en la Candelaria cuando llegará, en la Candelaria cuando llegará, cuando llegará, cuando llegará. En la Candelaria cuando llegará, en la Candelaria cuando llegará, en la Candelaria cuando llegará, cuando llegará, cuando llegará.
Alrighty. It's coming up fast. It's coming. It's going to be fun, guys. It's going to be intense.
It's like about a month
It's a
and a
marathon.
half.
Yeah, month and a half. It's going to come fast. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's get Bawdy up here. Keep moving it along. I'm going to kind of slowly fade into the background at this point, I think, as I got to do things around here, but I'll be listening in, jumping in when I can.
Yeah, we'll run price. I'll do news, and then we'll have the viewers on stage for a little bit.
Awesome.
Let's do it.
The Monerotopia Price Report segment is sponsored by Exolix, a privacy-focused, non-custodial instant crypto exchange. Go to exolix.com to enjoy secure and completely anonymous swaps with no KYC or sign-up. Swap between Monero and 2,000 plus assets at the most competitive rates and with no limits. Exolix.com, your fast and secure way to privacy.
Hey.
All right.
Hello.
Bawdy, what's up, man?
Hi, guys.
How's it going? You enjoying
good,
this?
man.
Enjoying the pump?
Bummed that I can't buy some property in Mexico for Monero.
Using ShopinBit?
Yeah. But maybe I can get a Rolex or something. Is that
No,
still a thing?
I think he
Like,
said in Europe he doesn't do it, but I think elsewhere they'll help you out with it if you want. I think that. Let me quickly add him to stage.
wait,
Right,
yeah,
Lando,
I
is that
might have
correct?
misunderstood that, I guess.
Hi, Bawdy, and thank you for your question. No, it's EU only that we do not do real estate. So if you're outside of the EU, there are some options to do it. But you will
Okay.
talk to our concierge, but with the Rolex, we do quite a lot of them, so that's easy to do. Yeah.
I saw there's a country selection on the website. I didn't see Mexico listed.
Again, that's the online shop. There is Mexico. If you use the app, there is every country is listed there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's like the shop is still, it needs some work, but we were focusing so much on the app because I was very pushing for that no email stuff. It was very important to me. So that's why all the cool new features are in the app. But yeah, Mexico is still.
Anybody anywhere can use the app except for obviously certain countries.
What about what about rentals? Like hypothetically, if someone wanted to try and find an apartment or a house for rent, could they?
That is possible, but only for a certain period of time. It depends on the country. If you want to have it unlimited, then we can only offer it in Poland. And Poland is actually quite nice. So if you want to check out the Warsaw skyline and see how Germany would look like if they still had nuclear reactors, then sorry, that was like a third-degree burn for the EU again.
Radioactive joke.
No, yeah, but long-term rentals of apartments is also kind of a tricky topic that really depends also on each country if we can do it or not. Because technically we are renting it out first and then we're renting it forward. So there are some countries where this is not possible. Like, for example, I think we had this one client from where we wanted to go, where the expats go, Thailand, right? In Thailand, there are special rules that you cannot do this as an external company. So there's, for example, it's not possible there. But in other countries, it's possible. And in Poland, of course, we can do whatever we like. Well, whatever legal we want in Poland, right? So in Poland, you could rent an apartment. We have a few clients who actually rent apartments with us that are from Poland, and they actually pay it with Monero, if I come to think of it. Yeah, also. So thank you for the extra question.
Right on. Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Awesome. So have a nice evening. Bye.
You too.
Awesome, man. Awesome. On XMR Bazaar, there is that one good account that's offering properties throughout mostly Italy, but I see other places in Europe and other random spots around the world. It's actually some good properties on there. I've been talking to her actually.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, man. Yeah, I guess get into it. Let's see where we're at.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone's excited.
Are we approaching new all-time highs? Is it in the cards, Bawdy?
We are definitely approaching that level. I mean, it's 100% in the cards, right? We've been saying here, at least for the last few weeks, that at this point, it's time to expect us to tag all-time highs, regardless of whether crypto is in a bear market now or not. Monero the chart is just set up for it. Everything looks nice. Everything about this chart says green, says go. Says green go. So yeah, 589, I guess, would kind of be the sort of pleb line extension. Technically, the vertical level for a new all-time high would be right around that 516 area. I don't know if that's it's probably not perfect, and I'm sure it depends on which exchange we're talking about. But I think the only reasonable exchange that we could look at from 2021 to give us a quote unquote correct price would be Kraken. So we're going to go with Kraken. I don't know. Let's just hover over that candle and see what it says. What is the absolute exact? 517.6, $517.60. So that's where we got to break to claim a new all-time high. That exact level is not like, it doesn't doesn't have to be perfect or whatever, but we are like already extremely close to all-time highs. We are currently tagged the first all-time high from 2017, right? The first breakout. So that's pretty nice. And it's really, really good to have gotten there in a way that looks like extra movement, right? Like just this entire chart setup, whether you want to draw pleb lines, whether you want to look at the wave magic, just in general, whether you just want to like say, hey, we're in a nice trend, you could even probably try and draw some kind of like parabolic action, right? That's happening there. And we're not like this doesn't look like the tippity top of a parabola that's already been exposed, right? That's already gone overextended. Whereas when we hit that level last time in 2021, right, this was just like a straight shot. We just went straight up there with no breaks. There was no nice chart pattern. And you guys hear me say this all the time. I always talk about, I don't want to go too far too fast. I want to keep a nice chart pattern. I want to see slow and steady gains. And this is why. Because in 2021, when we just got there like straight away, that wasn't sustainable. That wasn't truly organic adoption kind of action. And ultimately, it had to come back down, right? In fact, a lot of this might have even just been driven by some insiders and exchanges themselves. It's hard to say for sure exactly what happened there. But we do know that immediately after this moment in May of May 10th, May 11th, that was when Binance started shutting down withdrawals for the next 2 or 3 years, just off and on, along with all the other exchanges except for Kraken. So the way in which we have approached the all-time high this time is just insanely, vastly more healthy. So I really like it. Really excited for what might be in store for our price. Honestly, guys, we've never seen this. Monero is broaching all-time highs, while Bitcoin is dubiously in a bull market anymore. Like technically, it hasn't broken any levels that would say, "Hey, we are no longer in a bull market." But if this pattern breaks down any further, it's basically bear market territory. Like let's just take a look at this. Let's do some measurements. Expand. We're on the weekly chart, obviously. So Bitcoin about 125 was that top. It fell 36%. This chart pattern doesn't look great right now. This looks like the kind of thing that could break down. I'm not saying that it has to. It could find its footing here and start to take off, but there's nothing about this current pattern that really says that it has to like hold and go higher. It kind of is starting to look like it could sort of just languish sideways for a period of time. That would be completely unsurprising to me at this point, to just watch Bitcoin do one of these for the next month. Probably, maybe, I guess, until we get that decision from MSCI, from the Morgan Stanley, Jamie Dimon motherfuckers out there that are going to tell us about whether or not these Bitcoin treasuries companies are in fact companies or de facto funds in their eyes, which will reverse the index effect, which we've talked about for the past couple weeks here. The index effect being you get your company listed on the index because you're growing, and then they buy your stock because they have to balance their index because you're part of their index now, which raises your company price, which causes them to buy more stock. And then you get on other indexes, right? And it's like, it sounds like leverage to me, the way I describe it, but it's not exactly leverage. But anyways, if you get a reverse index effect, because these Bitcoin treasuries companies, prime suspect being MicroStrategy, if they get removed from that's about 3 billion of outflows, plus just the speculative problems. And if we're in a thin liquidity situation of nervous cattle, hoping, praying to get that back, but no one's buying and no one's selling, that's thin liquidity, and 3 billion could cause a significant loss. And so the point is here that if this thing does go down any further, let's just draw something to, I don't know, see this blue line down here? That's actually like the bear market support line historically. That's basically a sort of ish version of the bear market support line. This blue line down here, along with that green line. That green line, it's green because it means buy. That is the Bitcoin regression boundary price for the lower boundary. Anyways, but let's just say we don't even get down there. Let's say we go down to here, right? So 63,000. Taking a measurement from the top, that puts us at about minus 50%, which is historically, that's a bear market, guys, please. Like, maybe the stock market says minus 20% for bear market, but Bitcoin is basically minus 45% or greater, minus 50% or greater is typically bear market territory. There's a little bit of caveat to that. We won't get into it, but that's the last bull market had a big drop off, but we won't really talk about that too much. Anyways, yeah, Bitcoin not looking so great, but Monero just fucking crushing it, right? Like, what other coins are sitting here near their all-time highs, even as everything else is falling? You might try and point at Zcash, but Zcash, the chart, like, except for this massive breakout that it had, it's still trying to gain its own footing. Minus 60% from the top, still minus 40%, right? It dropped minus 60% from 750. But it's still at 451, right? That's still minus 40% off its highs. And okay, like, I guess you could, try and say that you're still doing pretty good. Hypothetically, if we just forget about this little guy right there, right, when they launched, right, the red candle, the absolute death drop, the death dive from 31,000? Really? Is that where Zcash launched at? Jesus, God, that just screams scam. Anyways, Zcash, you could kind of say, is sort of pushing up on this all-time highs, but please, everyone listening to this show already knows that was absolutely manufactured. And it's interesting. It's interesting that,
dude, the Zcash chart unironically looks reversed. Like, if it was a good coin, it would be the other way around.
What do you mean? Like, if you
just full 180 the chart, like remove the recent pump, and then it looks like it's inverted.
Yeah, if we just do that, it looks horrible. There's, there used to be here it is, invert scale. Oh, looks like it's kind of drawing an M almost. This is dubious analysis. I don't know. Maybe that could be the voluptuous pattern. I don't know. Anyways, shit, man. There was another thing here that I was just thinking. Oh, whatever. It doesn't matter. All right. So yeah, let's go back to Monero and let's look at Bitcoin versus Monero. We can gloat about how we're outperforming Bitcoin, doing quite well, actually. Let's go to the weekly, because at this point we're starting to come out of these sort of depths that we hit during the quote unquote bull market. And I guess, I mean, it looks like we're going for these blue lines again. So right, 0.007, that looks like a very achievable thing now as well. In fact, this chart, the XMR BTC chart, would in fact signal that we do have more gains coming. And if we wanted to just do some cross-reference, let's suppose we measure to the bottom. So that's plus 20% to maybe plus another 50% on the Monero price before we start hitting potential resistance against Bitcoin. And if we're going to correlate that, right, it's a good dubious correlations here, but if we're going to correlate that to the fiat price, that would be, that would actually definitely put us at a new all-time high. It would put us pretty close to right around this, this rising resistance line right here. I still have a little bit of a hang up in terms of whether or not we can currently beat this very long rising resistance line. Hitting this line and then doing some kind of pullback, that would not be completely unreasonable, guys. I'm not saying that's what I expect to happen. I'm just saying that, like, it could, like, that could be the case. Now, what we really want to see is to hit this line. If you start seeing vacillation in this area without any like drops, or like maybe just like a wick drop, you know, below like the 500 level, right? If we start consolidating at this line and then poke above it again, that will scream $1,000, right? That will scream like price discovery upside. We will get the moon boys. We will get the actual like hardcore attention of the entire crypto industry. And everyone will fucking pile into Monero, especially if that happens during a bear market. Like if Bitcoin is like puts on new lows and Monero continues going high, that will become a waterfall moment. That'll be like our 2017 moment in a lot of ways. Doesn't mean we're going to 20,000 in that case, but you know, it does mean Monero would be valued in the thousands and back in the top 10 within short order. So that's, you know, that's, we're talking like 2026 fantasy, you know, my fan fiction kind of stuff here. Obviously fiction, you know, because cryptocurrency is made up. And it's all just code, which is just writing stuff in a book. Anyways, just kidding. Okay, so XMR dominance also looking quite good. We're actually at kind of like a resistance level here, but we already, this is the weekly. So, but we already kind of tagged it. So it's kind of like we can, you know, we got there in nice fashion. We tagged it, did a little pullback, came back. This is actually enough that, like, in a technical sense, that's enough for Monero to actually start going higher if it wants to. So yeah, hypothetically, you know, we could, let's go back to the weekly. Hypothetically, Monero could be in a very macro kind of situation here. Like this is, we are looking at what certainly appears to be a macro move for Monero, particularly because it is breaking so hard, so differently from the rest of the crypto market. The only other coin that's currently doing anything like that is Bcash. Like Zcash is there, but its chart does not resemble anything of what Monero's chart looks like. It is like, Monero's chart looks like strong, unstoppable organic lava, right? And I don't know, lava could be organic, but just go down to your local Whole Foods and they'll probably have some for sale. So yeah, Zcash looks completely artificial. It was made with the most soylent of ingredients. But Monero is like, I mean, the charts are just night and day. So the only other coin that's actually doing reasonably good things right now is Bcash. Maybe we'll take a look at that in a second. We'll also probably look at Litecoin, if I remember, just for some point in laughing. But yeah, Monero's fucking looking great. There's nothing happening with the divergences. It seems to me that the exchanges are kind of just accepting their fate. Maybe CoinEx, I don't know. Does anyone actually use CoinEx? I'm not sure. CoinEx did some weird vacillation. It's probably liquidity issue there. They probably don't have the coins they say they do. Whatever, maybe not. Who knows? Not accusing anybody. All right, let's go to the privacy, whatever coins, the fake, the wannabe fucking coattail riding privacy coins. Xano is having problems. This is unsurprising. We actually, it dropped off pretty hard this week. We talked last week actually that the fact that it was riding down there was actually not a good sign. That a stronger chart would have, you really wanted to see that come up. And yeah, I mean that's kind of unsurprising here that it fell off. Maybe it can find some support here around that lower standard deviation area. Wouldn't be surprising. Maybe it'll come down here. You could probably try and make a swing trade or something like that. Fuck, I said I was going to not tell people ideas on Xano because it's small enough that we could potentially be the reason here. You know, that saying stuff about Xano could potentially cause it to move. Firo, let's see, Firo is also experiencing some down trendiness. Not great. Okay, whatever. Pirate Chain has kind of maintained its stability from the past week, but it's also, you know, it's also not doing great. Guys, like there's just probably it's hard to see there being much liquidity for this coin. I don't think they have much interest. Like, I never hear anyone talk about Pirate anymore. They can't even buy any bots to try and trick people on Twitter anymore. Zcash also, that's the weekly. Zcash has actually had a little bit of positive movement this week. Wait, oh, we're on the inverted. It's like, wait, that's wrong. Yeah, so Zcash had a little bit of positive movement this week, but it's still not convincingly getting to new levels. There's also the reality here. There's also the reality that it looks like to me this is a slight bit of a flag pattern, right? So even if Zcash does manage to kind of like, I don't know, perform in some kind of channel here, I don't know. That's a bit of a dubious pattern. But if you see this breakdown, that's probably bad news for Zcash. So just keep that in mind. Hey Tux, did you end up? I mean, I'm fucking invading your personal private finance, but did you end up taking any profit on that Zcash? Because you said a while back that you were looking for it.
There's a high probability that I already did. Okay.
Can neither confirm nor deny, but probabilities speak to everything. Excellent. Well, good job, sir. That's just basically, you're just robbing the soul degens of that all piled into Zcash. Like, that's pure robbery, and I salute you for it.
I mean, I'm surprised it made it all the way up there, to be honest, where it did, like 750 or something like that. It's crazy.
I am too. Like, I mean, it can happen, but it's really the fact that they got it that far it's actually kind of impressive. But all right, well, whatever. Tari, I don't know what to say to you guys about Tari. I told you to buy a bag and pretend like it doesn't exist and expect it to go to zero, because that's how you release attachments, and that's the only way that you can win when you're gambling. And even Fyodor Dostoevsky said at the end of his life, he had a gambling addiction. A famous Russian author. He wrote Crime and Punishment. He had a gambling problem his whole life, except for at the end of his life, he said, I finally figured out how to gamble. He says you have to not care about winning. And there's some like weird reverse psychology against the universe when you have no attachment to winning or losing. So anyways, the point is, I hope you bought Tari and didn't care if you lost. Because unless you bought it right here in October, the beginning of October, then you definitely are in losses in Tari. I don't know, maybe tokenomics, right? Just that's too much pre-mine. But still, though, like a lot of pre-mine coins pump
What's
bigly.
The supply for Tari, like 3 billion.
I don't know. I mean, at least it's partially merge mined. I think did they ever? Do you know if they ever fixed their Tor issues? Right, their Monero miner merge mining Tor issues.
No, I haven't touched their mining software. I think since earlier this year when it was first coming out.
Well, I guess I still say it like, hey, if you haven't bought any Tari, just buy a little tiny bag. Not even 1% at this point. Just buy a tiny bag and just write it off. Right, like it doesn't exist. And whenever you hear about Tari again independently from somebody else, probably a good time to go check it because maybe you have some gains. Otherwise, like it's just a small loss. You're like, whatever. It's called throwing spaghetti at the wall. A lot of it's going to slide down, but some of it's going to stick. Cubic, lol. They're just like dying like horrible. This is a worse death than most shitcoins die. Even like it's pretty good. Like they're down 50% from when they broke down like my special little wavy colored lines. So that's funny. That's good to see. I wonder if Comes From His Ass is gonna be like, I don't know, trying to do anything new. All right, on to the rest of the bigger crypto markets, the ones that everyone loves to talk about. Bitcoin is just like we said, it's in problems at this moment. My best guess is that this thing is actually going to push sideways. I don't think it's going to break down between now and New Year's. I don't think it's going to pump either. I think it's in a holding pattern. We're just waiting for the MSCI decision, as we already talked about. Bitcoin dominance also seems to be pushing sideways. Sure, fine, whatever, don't care. This is actually a pretty strong support pattern, so it will probably take some doing to actually break this down. It won't go there straight away. It's gonna at least have to do some of that before it breaks down. And maybe if a favorable decision comes from MSCI and they're like, oh, actually, MicroStrategy is a company, then in that case, maybe this thing could just quickly break down, because then maybe it's game back, it's game on. Here's the Z-scores. So you can see Monero doing very, very good, has been doing good for the past 3 months really. Again, z-score is relative to its own moving average, right? In this case, I think we're looking at the 100-day moving average. Is it the 100-day? Yes, it is. So, and you can see Bcash also doing pretty good here. The Bcash bros, I don't even hear from them anymore. I mean, they're out there. There's a couple of them. The only Bcash bros that I actually see on Twitter now are actually like reasonably technically competent. A lot of them are devs and coders themselves. So I actually do appreciate seeing their stuff because they usually have something not terrible to say. Yeah,
I was surprised to see that one pumping as well.
Yeah, let's check out BCH USD. Let's see, maybe put on my little wavy fucking lines here. We'll do the simple version. Yeah. This is okay. So 2 things. This chart doesn't look great because it's been in this like long downtrend, and it's still kind of like mildly constrained by that downtrend. On the other hand, the recent action, this is positive action, right? This is falling volatility towards the upside. It's like falling upstairs, kind of like Joe Biden, but with more style. So this thing could actually break out. Like this chart actually does look set up to me to have some kind of breakout. So I
didn't realize its all-time high was like 4,000 though.
Yeah, because remember when we forked, I wasn't.
Oh yeah, the block wars, yeah, and then it was a big deal at the time, and like Bitcoin forks at the time were like a huge deal, and then people were like, no, fuck that.
Yeah, because we didn't know. Like at the time, we didn't know if Bcash could actually win because there was a lot of mining stuff happening. The hash power was kind of vacillating for a period of time. So yeah, it did start out with it did end up at a pretty large price for a short period of time. So maybe the death of this chart has ended, right? Maybe they're preparing to resurrect. It's been 3 years, longer than that. I guess 2022. Yeah, it's been about 3 years. It's a lot longer than J-Man had to stay in the tomb, but I don't know. You know, he said you'll move mountains, and maybe you could even resurrect Bcash. Oh God, that's so sacrilegious. Both against Christianity and against Bcash holders. All right, let's go to LTC USD because this chart will also be lots of fun. Occasionally, I don't know how it is, but Litecoin is now trying to ride on the coattails of Monero. Basically, like it's I see them showing up in our places, and all right, thanks, bros, for all the fish. You've helped us to flip into Monero on a number of occasions when Bitcoin had high fees, but no one uses Bitcoin anymore. And the blocks are empty, so we don't need Litecoin to get into Bitcoin anymore. And I think the infrastructure build out is happening such that we probably won't need Litecoin for that use case again, maybe a tiny bit. But the big story that came out was Charlie Lee got on some interview and he was like, yeah, I didn't actually really make any money from Litecoin. I made Litecoin, but I didn't really make any money from it. And that's just like insanely lying through his fucking teeth. Like the CFTC fined Coinbase $6.5 million for quote unquote a dev that they didn't list by name that created wash trading bots to fake Litecoin adoption. And they cite this in the, like, I can give you the link to the CFTC that cites Litecoin. It says they created Litecoin wash trading bots. And then Charlie Lee publicly dumped his bags as everyone, because they faked the adoption, they faked the wash trading bots. Everyone started buying Litecoin because they're like, look at the volume is spiking. Oh my God. So everyone starts buying Litecoin, and Charlie Lee dumped his entire stack on the buyers at the top in 2017.
It's fucking crazy. And then he goes on to say he regretted even creating Litecoin.
Like, oh yeah, I'm sure you regret those millions of dollars that you took off of all those people. Right, bro. Okay. So for those of you that don't know the lore, this is actually one reason why I've kind of like got this negativity towards Litecoin. Maybe I shouldn't have negativity towards the holders. I don't even know how many holders there really are, but a coin that starts like that just, man, gives me the ick. I feel like a chick being hit on by some creepy weirdo, and that creepy weirdo is Charlie Lee. So yeah, this chart sucks. It just looks like it's going to push sideways for a very long time. Litecoin does have some like steady usage for certain use cases, and it does have like, I don't know, I guess it's got like kind of a fan base. So it's a player, right? It's there, people kind of use it, but there's nothing, like, it doesn't really have a story. There's no narrative about this coin that is enough to take hold and send this thing to the moon anymore. Like those days are done. Yeah, it's got some privacy, but like so does Zcash, and it's all optional. So like if you want real privacy, everyone already knows use Monero. Like there's no Bitcoin maximalist is going to go into Litecoin for the privacy. They might go into Monero for the privacy, but none of them are going to Litecoin for that shit.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like MWeb's cool in how it's kind of bootstrapped a reasonable amount of privacy on top of a transparent chain, but it's like why don't you just use Monero? Like where Litecoin still exists is where like, well, there's a lot of places where you still can't spend Monero, and they take things like Bitcoin and Litecoin. Well, in that case, Litecoin is great, and you can use MWeb with it as well, even if you're sending to a transparent address. That's cool. But if it takes Monero, it's like, why would you not use Monero? Right. So,
yeah. Litecoin's even almost like kind of a microcosm of what's happening in the crypto industry right now. Guys, coins are fucking dying. You are witnessing the beginning of the death and we've, the maximalists have fapped about this for years now. They've been fapping about all the altcoins, which were going to die.
Going
even as they were like, they like right around here, they're like all the altcoins are going to die. And you're like, are they now, bro? Like, I don't think so. It looks to me like they're all pumping, but altcoins are now, you're going to see a lot of them just start fucking dying because that's it. Everyone who has wanted to get into crypto has had a chance to get into crypto. Everyone's heard the gospel of Bitcoin. Like everyone who has wanted to buy has had a chance to buy. And now the only thing that can really be done is the slow trickle of people that still believe, and maybe some of the Zoomers, crossing that 18 threshold, get in their jobs, and turning into, I don't know, not Zoomers anymore, middle-aged, technically aware, whatever, like professionals, young professionals, right? Putting their paycheck into crypto because they don't believe in the system anymore. And that's going to continue. That is going to continue. But there's no like big narratives to save these coins. Litecoin is in a okay position because it's established enough, but so many of these other coins are just going to fucking die. Some of these coins, on the other hand, so contrary to what I was just saying, some of these coins have like almost no volume, no adoption, no usage, and their prices are completely fraudulently propped up. And those coins will probably just forever stay propped up at stupid prices. But like, here's a good one. ADA is just going to keep dying. There's so many holders there that like that coin can't pump. That coin doesn't do anything. There's no narrative for it. There's no possibility of its future. It just has a young man or a middle-aged man pretending to be an old man that gets on his podcast and says weird rants. Hey, kind of like me. But he's a lot more nice. He's more nice monkey than I am. I talk a lot of shit. All right. Anyways, moving on. Monero transactions are still sitting at about 25,000, broaching 30,000. We're, on the long-term basis, I guess this looks pretty nice. We're still kind of sort of not really moving towards the upside anymore.
That's the only pump those numbers up.
Gotta pump those numbers up, guys. Fuck. I don't know what's up with this chart, guys, but I guess it's fine. Maybe this is just a more reasonable chart of. So allegedly, I read a paper. This was years ago now, but a paper that talked about Bitcoin. It said that like 75% of the transactions were actually just they were just attempts at trying to obfuscate the source of funds and trying to like gain some sort of level of privacy on the chain. I don't know if that's still the case, but so it could be the case that a lot of the transaction volumes are just pumped up on these other coins and aren't realistic. And maybe Monero is more of a realistic level of transaction volume. That's me trying to like force, trying to force it to be what I want. This is the only chart of Monero that I actually
hoping to the upside.
Yeah, exactly. That's pure cope on my part. This is really the only chart in Monero that I look at and I'm like, God damn it, I really want to, I would love to see this chart more like 35 to 50,000, just have steadily, slowly climbed up to have an accompanying kind of corroboration of the organic adoption narrative. Without that, I still put a question mark in our price pump. I still put a little bit of a question mark there. And okay, it is the case that we have a lot of people coming in and that saving is a big part of what money has to do. And it's a legitimate use case. And that saving narrative could be our saving narrative that is pushing price up, right? Like that doesn't have to be accompanied with a pump in transaction volumes. Nevertheless, I still would kind of like to see a little bit of increase in those transaction volumes. So I don't know. whatever. Monero hash rate is a chart that I like. It's looking good. It makes sense if price goes up, hash is going to go up. It makes it slightly more profitable to do so. In fact, as of the past few weeks, we've had we've had some looks like new all-time highs in the hash rate, somewhere around 6.5 gigas. So that's pretty cool. All right, let's go to the macro. Actually, the first thing I want to show you on the macro, we're going to lead out the macro with the civilian unemployment. How rare. So yeah, the SOM rule is triggered, guys. We're fucked. There's a macro crash coming. It doesn't mean it's coming in January, but it's going to happen. They've gotten pretty good at staving things off and doing trickery to prevent it. What's going to be the black swan? I don't know. Maybe the government now has to collapse because they keep redacting Ghislaine's vagina when they were told not to do that. If you know, you know. Yeah, so I don't know. Could it be that combined with the collapse of the AI bubble, right? Because AI bubble has to collapse at some point here. But yeah, the SOM rule is triggered, which just basically means that when unemployment starts spiking, that's problematic. It's a foregone conclusion that that a macro crash is coming. This is a monthly chart, so it could still be many months until a macro crash actually does happen. So I don't know. I don't have a timeline here for you, but this is a bad omen, but it's a singular bad omen for the moment, right? It's not corroborated by, it's corroborated by one other thing in the macro, and that is the price of oil. Price of oil continues to fall off, and at some point, this has to become negative again. It is now becoming in danger of, I don't even know if that's correct grammar. It's becoming in danger of collapsing further below the 55 level. And if and when that happens, I do question whether or not we have to actually head for the hills or whatever, because this is not a good chart. This combined with the SOM rule, if it really only takes one more trigger here for me to have to be fuck, it looks like a macro crash is coming, which I didn't expect. Last week I said there's no macro crash, but yeah, I guess they released the new unemployment and oil keeps falling, and the dollar actually looks like it's getting ready here to actually make a break. Maybe it'll take till next year. Probably the dollar won't actually start breaking out until next year. But it does look like it's starting to look pretty not good out there. And it's funny how that can turn on a dime. Maybe just my feels have changed. I don't know. Maybe I need to get on some medication or something for all I know. Schizophrenia? No, just kidding. All right. So yeah, macro not looking totally great, but gold crushing it. I'm trying to hope here that gold can hold out from, making a new all-time high until the new year, so that I don't, I don't have to eat my words. Technically speaking, we're made it 2/3 of the way through the month. It's December 20th. We need to make it 10 more days. I need you to hold out gold and only break after January so that I can claim to have the best calls ever. But anyways, yeah, this chart looks fucking amazing. This is going to break out again. There is no denying it. There's no stopping it. This is a fundamental that we are witnessing right now, what the gold bugs have been calling for a long time, the fundamental event, calling for a long time. This fundamental landscape change, the sea change of the BRICS and the new currencies and the dollars collapsing, etc. All the narratives, some version of that, right, is a slightly less hyperbolic version of that seems to be playing out for gold. It has broken my models. It's going to continue breaking models. It's going to break out soon. It might not even wait till next year to get there. It's going to go up. So macro crash would probably see this thing go down. But if we see gold pump, if there's a macro crash and gold pumps all the way through it, that is the most massive sign that something is just fundamentally completely different in the fabric of society and the monetary systems. It's also another sign, the fact that the United States is now pointed towards Venezuela and they got Mexico to implement tariffs against China. And it's been said for a long time by libertarians that when the United States loses its grip on the world, as its hegemonic empire, and starts turning its attention back to its own hemisphere, back to the Americas, that'll be kind of a sign of the times. And we're starting to see a little bit of that. And now we've got the Epstein files happening simultaneous. The Epstein files is a true, it's a true black swan. And honestly, looking at the world these days, I don't see too many white swans. It's just a fucking sea of black swans. Insert Clash of Civilizations joke. But Monero, Monero's like the one white swan, and maybe gold here is like the only white swans that I see out there in the world, in the macro these days. Anyways, yeah, gold's going to pump here. I hope you're in gold. Hope you never sold. And if you did sell, well, you're retarded. You need to buy back in because this thing's going to pump again. Silver, I know Tux is a silver hodler. And Tux, you have been getting fucking gains, brother. Let's see, you got
Shiny rock, big W. Love my shiny rock.
Shit, you keep it shiny. You sit there and you take it in the shower and you luster. What the fuck is it called when you shine silver up?
I have no idea.
There's a term for like, because silver gets dross, right? It gets like, I don't know if it's oxidation.
Yeah. I mean, a few of them are loose, but most of them are in they're in sleeves or they're in like these sealed containers.
Oh, okay.
But nice.
So they are indeed.
I have some really funny 4chan rounds. I have some rounds that have the Bawdyanarchist twins on them.
Yes. This is the only currency. Wouldn't it be fucking hilarious? The government collapses and then like the Bawdyanarchist silver coin becomes like coins. That'll be 3 bogs, sir. Oh, but I only have 2 bogs. Then get the fuck out of my store. No, fuck. I'm just off the rails here today. Yeah, man, congrats. Nice gains on silver. I got some bars sitting around. They're probably slightly oxidized or whatever. I don't know. I have them in a container, so hopefully maybe it's kept some of the fucking air out. I wanted to throw something stupid out there for all you preppers, because as long as we're on silver and gold and we're talking about prepping, a lot of you might probably buy freeze-dried food, right? You buy freeze-dried food and just in case shit collapses, you got some insurance, whatever. What you need to do that's better than freeze-dried food is pemmican. And if you don't know what pemmican is, go look it up. It's the food that the indigenous peoples used to explore the Arctic, and the European Arctic explorers kept fucking dying because their food supplies were crap, and they had to have these supply chains of canned goods, and they always kept dying. Pemmican is basically rendered fat plus dried protein, like elk meat, or it could just be beef. But you basically you render the fat and then you cook dry the shit out of like some ground beef or whatever, and it crumbles, and then you mix it together, and the shit lasts for like a poorly done pemmican can last you like 5 to 10 years. A well done pemmican can last you like 20 to 30, and if you really, really fucking do it right, it can last you 50 to 100 years, which is a longer shelf life than any of this freeze-dried crap. And oh, by the way, freeze-dried food requires water, and in a survival situation, water could very well be a scarce resource for you. So all this freeze-dried stuff, you have to like reconstitute it with water. Pemmican, you can just eat it straight, and you don't have to cook it. And it even if you had to take it out of its sealed container and travel with it, it's going to last you years. So and it's cheap to make. You can make it at home. Doesn't require really any special equipment. So anyways, for all you preppers out there, pemmican is a fucking brilliant, #1 survival food idea. It has everything you need. You can survive for years on it. In a single small closet, you can store enough for 2 years of food for a single person. So extremely calorie dense.
Sounds like a good business to list on XMR Bazaar. Somebody get on it.
Does Bawdy buy OPA bars?
OPA bars? The fuck is that?
You've never seen those?
Never heard of them.
Very good.
They are very good. Yeah, they sell what you're basically just talking about. They sell pemmican beef bars for Monero directly. Eat
nice.
Oh, that's basically the same. That's basically the same thing. It's basically
it's similar. It's just in like a bar. Yeah, a little brick.
That would actually, I mean, you could make a kill because it's like this kind of thing is starting to get out. People, you get on YouTube, you see more and more about pemmican. It's one of those, everyone's doing the keto diet, and it's started to get more popular. All the Bitcoin meat eaters, etc., the carnivores. So yeah, I mean, you could actually make a pretty good business probably just selling that to the preppers. All right, let's see. We're almost done here. Let's get through the stock market. Stock market looks fine. You wouldn't look at this and think that the stock, if there's a macro crash potentially, I guess. Don't take it too far. I'm just saying, hey, there's some not good signs in terms of macro crashiness. Anyways, stock market looks fine. It hasn't regained new all-time highs for about a month and a half. But that's a pretty common thing. So again, stocks, I would be extremely surprised if the macro crash happens before stocks make new all-time highs. So, and then finally, let's just check the bonds really quick to see if they are doing anything that we care about. Probably not. Come on, double clicky. All right, it doesn't want to double click. Respect my double click. Okay, so bonds have not dropped, but this certainly looks like bonds are getting ready to fall. This looks like a pattern, just eyeballing it, right? The way this pattern is developing looks like this thing is getting ready to fall down. So when that starts happening, that's really, that tends to be synonymous, right, with crashes. But usually there will be some level of falling that happens before the crash actually begins. So it's hard to say exactly when, that's going to happen. Sometimes it's like when, like in COVID, for example, it just came out of nowhere, quote unquote. And then the bonds fell off. You could kind of say it started falling just before, right here was the Rona. It started falling just before that. Anyway, so guys, this could be another one of those things where you might, like, if the macro crash happens, it might just be upon us like rapidly without like hardly any warning. And I'm starting to see the very first signs that perhaps we have to get worried again. So the point is, start paying attention again, right? We've said macro crash is off the table. The game is still on. We are now putting the macro crash back into sight somewhere. I don't know exactly where to place it, but yeah, if you have a cash position, it's an opportunity usually because they're just going to reinflate the market. Unless the government falls because of Epstein, I don't know. There's a whole lot of compaction there of news events, but speaking of news events, I think it's probably about time for that because I don't have any more randomness.
Nothing ever happens. No news.
Oh, shit. I'm out of jokes, so you guys are going to have to make up some news. It's fine. It's all fake anyways.
All right. Thank you very much, Bawdy, as always.
Oh, wait. Let's check the XMR chats. Do we have any? My XMR
yeah, let me
chat page.
scroll up. We've got Bawdy Fanboy 31102. I said, hello, everyone.
Hello, Bawdy Fanboy 31102. Great to hear from you. Thanks for the tip.
Awesome. And looks like that is it.
Oh, okay. Cool.
We did have a question. Remzi asked, what do you think about leveraging a gold position, such as buying into a leverage ETF?
I think that that's actually, if you intend to get in and out, that is a better way of acquiring a gold exposure than like the friction of buying physical. And I know that's anathema to some people, but my thinking on gold is that you need to have some, like I say 5 to 10%, maybe even as high as 20 if you're a prepper, of physical gold that you hold, in your own hands, on your own site, wherever that it's like yours. And that's like very reminiscent of kind of how central banks and governments and institutions do it. They hold some like level of gold physically, but it's not the majority of their position because most of the time society doesn't collapse. Like usually it doesn't collapse. So you have to spend most of your time in society. Like 90% of your shit should be like, okay, we're in society. The other 10% is in reserve, sitting next to your brass, sitting next to your pemmican, right? And if shit really goes down, that 10% becomes massively important for you. And it's a huge, huge help. But most of the time you're living in regular society. And so what do? You leverage the tools that you have. If you're on the stock market or you got your Fidelity account or whatever, like you're just in that system and we all kind of have to be in the system. And I know everyone says get out of the system, but like it captures you. It's like, so you have to fucking use it. And you have to make that personal decision how much you want to use it. But if you're already in the stock market, you got a 401k, some Fidelity, whatever, who knows what your financial situation is. But if you're already there, then yeah, absolutely. 100%. Totally use a leveraged ETF to buy gold. If you think it's going to go up. Don't take that too far, right? Obviously, in the worst kind of catastrophic situations, that's not going to be there for you. There's a high chance it won't be there for you, but it's a great way to get exposure to gold in times such as these. Let's see. Peter Schiff said that it's time to move gold. This is a comment. Peter Schiff said it's time to move gold from gold to real estate, and real estate has never been cheaper in gold terms. Oh, that's very interesting. That's probably not quite right just yet, but it's probably going to be right. If we get a macro crash, that's probably going to be the time to rotate. At the moment, I can't see anything that I want to go buy with gold. I might want to buy real estate with gold, but not yet, right? Like that's why I never sold my gold, even though like it was at the top of my kind of model-ish, my statistical levels. I never got out of gold because I said, where else do I want to go right now? I can't think of anything else I would rather hold than this. So it just kind of had me in the do nothing position, which is often the case. But yeah, so I think that's a good comment. I don't think we're quite there yet, but it's probably good for Peter Schiff to start laying that groundwork, and maybe it's a good thing to lay the groundwork here as well. So, all right, boys, I think that's all the comments, and that's all I got for you today. So thanks for the time.
Alrighty, thank you very much as always, Bawdy. Let's try and get moving into the news segment, and I'll try to go over it fairly quickly so we can get to viewers on stage.
The Monerotopia Weekly News segment is sponsored by WizardSwap.io, a non-custodial cryptocurrency exchange.
All right, just going to pull up my screen here. Alrighty. So, first news we got today is a video from Bitcoin Magazine, and it says Justin SEC Chair Paul Atkins says public blockchains are more transparent than any legacy financial system ever built. Whoa, big fucking surprise. Maybe this is why they like him so much. Let's play this video.
Especially important. Public blockchains are more transparent than any legacy financial system ever built. Every movement of value is recorded on a ledger that anyone can inspect. Chain analytics firms are already exceptional at assisting law enforcement with linking on-chain activity to off-chain identities.
Wow. So, I mean, they're just basically saying what we've heard previously in the past by some people in the government, is that they actually like these systems because they're easier. The FBI rather you use Bitcoin to commit crimes than cash, because oftentimes it leads to more traceability, more ability of them to find where it was originally coming from. So not too surprising there.
But he's saying this as the SEC chair, pointing out that it's a flaw in crypto.
It is.
Yeah. Did you play the full? It is amazing. I
only played the first 25 seconds.
Yeah, I would play this whole school. It was the most, in my mind, it was kind of like the biggest news in the privacy coin sector in terms of interacting with governments. Like, we have the SEC chair here out here talking about the problems of crypto, and the problem primarily being that it's traceable and that it's going to turn into a panopticon that will be spying on the people. I mean, the fact that that's coming from a government official is tremendous. So yeah, play it. It's worth playing.
In other words, pushed in the wrong direction, crypto could become the most powerful financial surveillance architecture ever invented. Indeed, if the instinct of the government is to treat every wallet like a broker, every piece of software as an exchange, every transaction as a reportable event, and every protocol as a convenient surveillance node, then the government will transform this ecosystem into a financial panopticon. At the same time, this technology allows for privacy-preserving tools that the analog world could not provide, such as zero-knowledge proofs, selective disclosure, and wallet designs that allow users to prove compliance without handing over their entire financial history or personal details to intermediaries or to the government. One can imagine systems where a regulated platform can demonstrate that its users have been screened without the ability to retain a permanent person-by-person map of every payment, trade, or donation. These tools will also help our markets to continue to function smoothly as they move on-chain. Complete financial transparency inherent to public blockchains can disincentivize important financial markets activity. For example, many institutions depend on the ability to build positions, test strategies, and provide liquidity without instantly telegraphing that activity to competitors and to predatory traders. If every order, hedge, and portfolio adjustment was suddenly visible in real time, we could invite front-running, copycat behavior, and pile-on dynamics that make it harder, not easier, for firms to manage risk. Making and underwriting become far less attractive if every inventory balance or client flow is immediately exposed to the marketplace. This technology makes it possible to balance the government's interest in deterring threats to our national security and the American public's interest in privacy. But to best strike this balance, we must make certain that Americans can use these tools without immediately falling under suspicion. Shielding the lawful activity of our citizens from bulk surveillance while still ensuring that our government can perform these essential functions is the best way to protect both national security and our basic civil liberties, while also giving room for innovation to flourish. So the stakes here are high, and the questions before us carry profound and enduring implications. As we begin this roundtable, I am eager to hear more from our panelists about how we as a commission can protect Americans' privacy, as well as how crypto's privacy tools can lessen rather than increase the need for mass financial surveillance. Together, I am confident that we can shape a framework that ensures that neither technological nor financial advancements will come at the expense of personal freedoms. Unfortunately, other obligations are going to prevent me from attending the entire conference, but I'm thrilled to have been here to see you all today. And anyway, I thank you for your time and attendance, and I look
But yeah, I mean, that's pretty incredible to hear that coming from the SEC chair, basically making the pitch for why privacy coins align with, you know, the ideals of America and why, you know, essentially we should all have a right to use these tools. So
okay, yeah, that's a little more interesting than I thought it was going to be. I mean, I don't know what it's going to end up.
I mean, I've never heard any other, you know, federal government official make that pitch, right? So
I've never heard any federal government official say the Panacopticon.
Yeah.
Sounds more like some kind of I don't know.
First time he was
gathering where people wear costumes.
Well, I mean, come on. Don't you think it's impressive though? Like, I don't know. That's kind of a I don't know, bullish indicator that things are moving in the right direction here in the U.S. with regards to how they're going to be treating privacy coins. I don't think it could be interpreted any other way. Obviously, unless, you know, his opinion doesn't mean anything, and what the SEC is saying doesn't really have any sway. I had JW on the show this week. He was one of the attorneys speaking there, and we broke it down. People want to go into it further, but overall, I'd say it was definitely good for Monero.
I think someone wrote that speech for him, but it definitely doesn't hurt us for privacy in general being spoken about in the hallowed halls of government.
Exactly. All right, cool.
All right, moving on. Sorry, 1 second. I have trouble with my browser. There we go. We've got a post from Decrypt. Says, breaking Decrypt White House reporter Sandra Lutz just asked President Trump if he would consider pardoning Samourai wallet developer Keone. Trump said he would look at it and asked Attorney General Bawdy to investigate the request. Story to follow.
Mr. President, this week a man named Keone Rodriguez is going to federal prison for creating crypto privacy software. The case was started under the Biden administration, but your DOJ kept it going and secured the conviction. A lot of people in crypto are saying that this man should be pardoned. Are you familiar with the case at all, or would you be interested?
I've heard about it. I'll look at it. Why, you think he should be pardoned? Sounds like it. Sounds like, based on your question.
Many people in
Rodriguez, we'll look at that, Pam. Okay, let's take a look at it. You know, you'll have to tell me. I don't know anything about it, but we'll take a look.
All right, there you go. Trump acknowledging the request for them to take a look at the Samourai wallet devs' current cases, where Keone had to surrender himself yesterday to start his 5-year prison sentence. So, yeah, hopefully that gets a little bit of attention and could even lead to a pardon, perhaps. And that'd be not an impossible or unrealistic scenario, considering how Ross Ulbricht was pardoned earlier this year. So, yep. Next up, we got a post from CyberSatoshi, and it reads, they can choke off the spot ramps, but they can't stop the price recovery. XMR perpetual swaps perps are now live on Hyperliquid X via permissionless HIP-3 deployment. Even when the underlying asset is deemed untouchable by compliance desks, the market finds a way to trade its volatility. This isn't about holding the coin. It's about keeping the signal alive. So, yeah, I guess Monero is sort of available to use on Hyperliquid now. I don't know if Bawdy had any thoughts on this. I didn't really look into it. I had a couple people message me about it.
To the extent that it could bring some of the Sol degens and the Hyperliquid degens the ability to cash out into Monero, that's great. It is custodial. You do have to trust him. The cow guy, what the fuck is his name? Someone cow. Anyways, yeah, you have to trust him. But to the extent that it brings those guys the ability to cash out into Monero, that's great. To the extent that it might encourage some of the Monero peeps to start gambling on Hyperliquid with their Monero, I'm kind of meh on it, but it's a sign of the times. It's a good thing.
Yeah, that sounds pretty reasonable. Personally, I will not be using it, and I think U.S. individuals can't use Hyperliquid anyway. I'm allegedly in the United States, but yeah, it's cool to see. Yeah, it's kind of promotes the GM behavior, but it is what it is. I think a lot of Monero people won't want to be using it, but it'll be something there for some people. All right. Next up, we got a post from John Foss, which is the XMR's BTC weekly chart. Monero is above the cloud for the first time since early 2023. A close above would be bullish. There's a massive inverted head and shoulders forming. This could be the major reversal we've been waiting for. And as we just looked at Monero, and we covered that somewhat. Wow, this image is huge. Monero actually broke over the 0.005 mark. So that is very cool to see, because that definitely would have been a little bit of potentially resistance point there.
The big action to me, the real important thing is we have to break that 0.01 level, like 0.09, 0.01. Once we get past that and establish that as a floor, it's kind of a new era. That becomes a new era. We're not there yet, and it would at least take months for us to get there and solidify it, but it's more likely than not coming, and that will begin like a totally new sort of era of Monero adoption.
Yeah, totally. Maybe some pullbacks between then, but hey, that gives you some time to accumulate a little more if you've been holding off. We got a post from CryptoCondom, and it reads, this is actually a big deal and a major use case for SEX versus DEX. Long removed from most centralized exchange for political and regulatory reasons, XMR lives on Hyperliquid. Proud to see it as a form of Monero miner on the Red Rippers. I guess just another post talking about how Monero is now on Hyperliquid, which is very cool. And next up, we got a post from The Rage, and it reads, this is not how the First Amendment works. Storm Defense tells the Southern District of New York. And it reads, there are many things that make the prosecution of trying to cash developer Roman Storm relevant to cryptocurrency services beyond privacy tools, from blurring the lines between custodial and non-custodial services to attempting to hold software developers accountable under the International Economic Emergency Powers Act. But the case also has major implications for the writing of free software overall, which under court's ruling in Bernstein versus U.S. Constitutes a form of free speech under the First Amendment. The defense's latest motion for Roman Storm's acquittal is a stark reminder for what is at stake. If Roman Storm loses this case, it could set the legal landscape regarding the development of free software back for decades and undo many of the wins of the cypherpunks had fought in the early 1990s. And it goes on to talk about how it's a potential 30-year setback. So yeah, Roman Storm, when, hopefully not having to deal with too much of these legal issues. Roman Storm's case alongside Samourai Wallet Dev's case, what will be determined based on these is, akin to the whole encryption wars, I guess, like 20, 30 years ago. And it'll kind of set a tone, set a precedent going forward. So hopefully it'll end up being a good thing. There'll be good precedents sent by them, either being pardoned or not being charged at all. Obviously, Samurai Wallet devs are already both charged, and at least one of them is currently in prison. But hopefully, alongside Ross Ulbricht being pardoned early this year, there'll be some good precedent set in terms of protecting people's ability to develop software and privacy software, especially for cryptocurrencies. Yep. And moving on, we got a post from Doug himself, and it reads, "At POTUS, please get Keone home to his wife for Christmas. Please fix this injustice. America cannot be the crypto capital of the world if our developers are being imprisoned for publishing privacy crypto software. Keone and Bill did not conspire to commit any crimes. The only crime committed was the authorities conspiring to use lawfare to kill the development and adoption of privacy tech in crypto." And here's a video from his wife, Lauren Emily, right after Keone had surrendered himself to FBC Morgantown for his 5-year sentence.
Or if you scroll down, actually, read her posts.
This one.
Yeah, she has a thread. The one with her in front. The kissing him in front of the Christmas photo. That's probably.
Our Christmas tree is up hanging with ornaments we've collected over the years. Each one a happy memory of better times. This will be our first Christmas apart in 14 years. While Christmas feels significant with it just being 6 years away, it's the days that followed that truly dread. For the past 14 years, Keone and I have spent nearly every day together. The thought of not being able to wake up into his office for an unexpected hug, to share a funny animal picture, or to pester him for his attention is going to be incredibly difficult. The house feels empty already.
Very sad, but I'm pretty hopeful. I mean, that Trump moment, it seemed like Trump really, obviously, got it. It was delivered to him. I don't know how that was like coordinated behind the scenes. That reporter did a great job taking that moment to bring it up. I don't know if it was like kind of already planned that he would bring it up. If that's the case, that's even better. So I don't know. It's looking pretty hopeful, I would say.
Pretty crazy situation. So there is traction though. There's traction, and it looks like attention has been received. So, and I don't remember what the how the case was going, or what the deal was set, or what judgment was set for Bill's case. But this is just Keone because there's two.
Yeah, Bill, I think, is supposed to go in like a month from now, but I think the sentence is pretty much the same.
Pretty much the same sentence. Okay.
Yeah,
like
I think
5 years.
I think so. I believe so. And
Crazy.
then financial penalty as well. Plus, obviously, they took all their profits. But yeah, pretty crazy.
And let's see. I think. Oh, my screen stopped sharing. I think there was a couple more links. Sorry, I seem to be having trouble sharing my screen. It seems to not be letting me. Technical error.
You had it up before, obviously. What changed?
Yeah, I don't know. It's giving me a problem here. It's not letting me. I don't know. Yeah, let me see what links were actually left.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just a couple posts. There was a post from Mr. Red Pill's Joka Kwame. The new anonymous phone carrier lets you sign up with nothing but a zip code. I saw this. This is nothing new. There's services that do that already. In fact, there's one that does it with Monero called Wireless, where they let you sign up with just a name and a zip code, and you can pay Monero directly. They've been around for a little while. They're pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yep. It looks like there's a new one. I don't think they accept Monero, though, so it's not as cool. Automatically gets downgraded to being less cool. And then we've got, let's see. Oh, it's a video. I guess I can't really play it. Let me try.
What was that video? What was the video?
Cypherpunk, which is the
Oh yeah, no, you don't need to play that. I mean, it's just fun. That's the Cypherpunk account that's run by basically the twins, right?
Yeah.
For their new Cypherpunk company.
I actually know who had the Cypherpunk handle.
So
before.
do I.
Yeah.
So do I. We don't need to get into that story. Yeah.
Anyways, I think that was it for the news. Sorry, my screen.
Oh, there was another video, I think, with what's his name? That one of those. Did you play the? I don't know. Whatever. I guess he covered it all.
Anything else you wanted to bring up?
Well, there was that video of Ray Dalio talking about the need for, basically, I thought that was an interesting take, coming from Ray Dalio, if you have that one, just to hear what he had to say.
I do, but I'm not currently able to share it. I'm not sure
if you
why.
can't play it, then don't worry about it.
I'm not sure. Yeah,
right.
Sorry guys, technical problems.
Okay. Alrighty.
All right, with that being said...
Is that a StreamYard thing, or that's a thing on your end?
It's giving me an error. I don't know. I might have to restart like my browser or something.
Okay. All right, I guess move it along. Do viewers on stage.
All right. Yeah, we got a few people in the backstage, so
again.
Let's go ahead and do it.
All right, take it away.
The Monerotopia Viewers on Stage segment is sponsored by XMR Bar. Play dice with Monero using a privacy-respecting and provably fair algorithm. Go to XMR.bar. As always, verify and never trust.
Please gamble responsibly in accordance with the laws of your jurisdiction.
Oh yes, the very, very goofy AI intro. All right, got a few people pulling up here. Pulling up Arctic Mind, Comrade Blend, Remzi, Shortwave.
Hello.
Alaska today. Where's Alaska? This is not right. It's not
Hello.
right.
From what I understand, Keon's sentence started today or yesterday, and then Bill surrenders on, I think it's January 2nd. Keon got a 5-year sentence. Bill got a 4-year. And they both, I think, got $250,000 worth of fines that they have to pay once they're out. But that does accrue interest while they're in prison. So
that's fucking crazy.
The government wants to financially ruin these guys for creating privacy software, which is a crime in itself. Like, the government's crime is being this evil.
It's of course horrible, but they're going to be fine. Like the moment they get out and say, "Hey, we're broke," they're going to get millions of dollars. They might even make more money off the donations after they get out of prison than they actually made on Samourai. It's very possible.
I hope so. It didn't seem like people initially cared that much, but now it seems like there's a little more traction around their cases that are kind of going a little more viral. So,
yeah.
Okay. Well, a couple of things I wanted to mention. Well, I was looking at the charts, and a couple of charts that strike me, which are interesting. The first one is the Poloniex chart for XMR BTC. And the reason I like that chart is it goes all the way back to 2014, and it really shows where the breakout has happened. And there was a pretty violent breakout in 2016, pretty well where we're right now. And what I'm seeing realistically is that we're seeing a significant breakout on the double bottoms on that chart. So we're right in the middle of the 2016 breakout. So that's the first thing I will comment. The other one that kind of intrigues me is this business of the Monero transaction rates. What I see happening there is more of a dynamic between the delistings on the centralized exchanges and the growth of the peer-to-peer market in Monero. And one way to really tell is to overlay that with both Zcash and Dash, both of which had the delisting story. And you see this downward trend in transactions in both of them. that coincides with the stagnation in Monero. And that will tell me that what was a fairly strong rise in Monero going up to about 2021 is essentially being offset by the delisting pressure. And what you're seeing in transactions per day is essentially a flat response, but it's really the dynamic impact of two trends, the upward trend in the peer-to-peer market and the downward trend in the sexes, in the centralized exchanges. And one of the things that I find interesting about that is, because I'm looking at it from a scaling perspective, is that what this is setting up the stage is could be for a sudden and rather violent move in Monero transactions, because if there is some kind of reversal in the centralized delistings, and we've seen some signs of that in the United States already, then what's going to happen is that peer-to-peer market is going to have all this liquidity coming into from the centralized exchanges, which in turn is going to fuel it. So we would see a sharp move in transaction rates. But that's just what I kind of observed from looking at the whole dynamic. So,
sorry, while you hold that thought, let me read this super chat before I forget. Cyrus the Acceptable tipped 0.0552816 XMR. Merry Christmas. Thank you for all you do. Good to see my favorite monies, silver and gold, men are doing well, and hope this is a beginning. Thank you for the super chat, and Merry Christmas to you as well.
I wanted to express some concerns about the Hyperliquid listing. I've seen that apparently it's actually not for XMRs for his own wrapped version of Monero, and that's particularly a concern for perpetuals, because then he can manipulate the price oracle a lot easier. And so that's something I just want people to watch out for, is like audit the price oracle. Like, don't be the first. If you use it, the first person to use this, you might be test exit liquidity. Something could happen to you. And then I think another thing worth mentioning is I think there's movement on the Monero con side. I think Comrade Ren is in this chat, but I think they're actually going to have it alongside of something like the Bitcoin Film Festival in Poland. Do you know more about that?
Hey there, I just put on my headphones. Could you please repeat your last sentence?
And you're pretty quiet. You'll want to turn your mic up on that.
Oh, sorry. Better now? Hello?
Yeah, it's a bit better.
Okay, Ramsey, could you please repeat your last two sentences? I couldn't hear because I was putting on my headphones.
Yeah, I think that it's actually going to happen. Like, it had been kind of ended, because the venue in Prague was a concern or something. So yeah, there's the Bitcoin Film Festival in Poland. I think there's going to be some MoneroCon event alongside. I don't know if it's finalized yet, but
okay.
Yeah.
So what happened is an issue came up with the Schengen countries, as Schengen countries started requiring fingerprint upon arrival, just as the US started to do after 9/11, I think. However, of course, many people, we expected that many people wouldn't like this. We made a poll about it, and it seemed like it wouldn't be such bigger an issue, but some people would have been still hesitant. Orange Friend came up with the idea that they would have the festival anyway, and asked the volunteers if it would be okay if there would be a collaboration between the Bitcoiners and Monero. So by chance, it's of course not confirmed yet, but by chance we might have a MoneroCon which is a bit mixed with Bitcoin as well. In my opinion, that would be beneficial and maybe could create some problems, but both Monero people would see what Bitcoiners see in that narrative, as well as some Bitcoin people may have not even heard about Monero yet, and we could introduce them to it. So I believe it's a great idea. It's not settled yet, but if it will be, I will update you guys, and I definitely think it's interesting. It could bring some problems, but I believe it would be beneficial.
Was there also some discussion of Turkey on this?
Yes, both Turkey and Armenia was in discussion. Nothing is finalized yet. We are, well, not we. The guys are looking into ideas and constantly updating us on what's possible and how it is going. I sadly wasn't able to participate too much in 2026's planning because I was really occupied with other stuff, which I can't currently release yet, but hopefully soon.
Interesting. Yeah. So there's likely going to be something this year then, either in Poland or in Turkey, or.
I would say the chances improved much in terms of MoneroCon for 26.
It's good to know.
I think there's also there's a Monero prediction market. I think that has been launched. It's like 0x null, I think is the site. Maybe we need to have a prediction market for where's MoneroCon going to be, or like if it's going to happen, to have that.
You know, the one thing I was wondering about that prediction market, and it appears to me not the case, but I was wondering if it was the realization of the AP philosophy, but apparently it is not.
One thing I wanted to come back to was the question of hyperliquid, and I share a lot of the concerns, by the way, but a slightly different perspective. What I see there is that you could have, especially if in areas where there's not accessibility to buying Monero and centralized exchanges, you can see the attractiveness of people seeking exposure in Monero through hyperliquid and through buying essentially a collateralized Monero that's collateralized with things like, I believe, primarily USDC. And the danger there is that you could set up a short squeeze on the actual on-chain Monero if enough cash goes into something like that, because there's no Monero backing it. It's basically backed up by other assets. Ethereum, maybe some Bitcoin, and primarily USDC. So that's, I think, a fundamental issue that could set the stage for something there. I mean, would there be a major short squeeze on Monero? Because obviously somebody has to back up, take the counter position to that Monero position on hyperliquid. And those people are going to be vulnerable to a short squeeze.
Actually, these two prediction markets and hyperliquid are actually kind of merging. So HIP-3 is what this technology is built on. HIP-4 is actually leveraging like binary outcomes, which is what prediction markets are for. So this is actually two related conversations. What Shortwave brought up is interesting, where he mentioned the concept of AP, which is a concept that's existed in cypherpunk literature for a while. I think Adam Back has written about it, but it stands for assassination politics. And actually, we have seen this year, there was kind of a first kind of test of this concept when Kalshi had a market for Charlie Kirk to run for president, and they actually ended up having to close the market. This is interesting ideas. Two different concepts come together of perps and prediction markets, and then just Monero's privacy has a unique role in certain things you can predict on.
But anyway, I was just mentioning the issue what I see with hyperliquid.
That was a really good point that you made, Ramsey, about there's one guy holding those funds, and he could hypothetically use that as a means of jacking that market around and effectively.
I think the token is like XMR1 or something. So that is a concern. If it's a wrap, that's like he has full control over the supply. Like he can do whatever he wants with the perps markets actually do end up bleeding into the real markets. This week, there was like Bitcoin scam wicked up to like 90K and then crashed immediately. And that's because people are getting liquidated on perps.
But you said it's actually wrapped Monero there, that's physically wrapped in those tokens, locked in there, as opposed to just a security based on USDC?
I'm not sure I understood you there.
Well, I was actually taking Monero from the blockchain and locking it up into these contracts. Or are we simply doing what amounts to be a contract for difference? I mean, somebody's taking the risk on the other side.
Yeah, that you should just use the Pith Oracle, or the Pith Oracle is probably the most established one. I think you should just use that as your Oracle because that's actually doing it for real XMR, not a wrap.
But it's actually basically there's still no Monero taken out of the blockchain. You essentially printed a security against Monero.
Yeah, you are. You are. Yeah. And so then ultimately, if you actually have Monero and the price is for the real thing, you can manipulate the perps market to your advantage, which is like why Binance is launching Aster and things. So yeah, if you are a centralized exchange and you participate in that market, you have excess information that you can use to your advantage.
But my point is that you are setting the stage for a short squeeze. If enough money goes into the perpetuals.
Oh yeah, it can't have a real inflow on price. Yeah,
and that's the concern because it could be well arbitrage. Obviously, people are going to arbitrage this, but my point is that what happens if there's this huge creation of value, essentially denominated in XMR? Someone's holding the counterparty to it. Someone is shorting and essentially being hedged with USDC and primarily USDC and maybe some Bitcoin and Ethereum. And then there's a drop in those markets. A rise in XMR, you're going to have a short squeeze. That's what I'm saying. Unless it's actually physical Monero has been locked up in the contracts.
Yeah, I don't know, actually. Rimsey, do you know, like, how does that usually work on Hyperliquid? I don't really know much about it because I've never used it. But when they wrap tokens like this, is there some kind of, like, proving system that they have? Or is it basically all trust me, bro?
As far as I understand it, trust me, bro, I need to do more research. I don't know. The only thing I've actually seen this on is X, and I have X blocked on all my devices, so I can't read more about it.
There's always X cancel.
That is true. I don't know if you can browse using that, but yeah, if I want to view a tweet, I think I have to use that. Yeah.
Just so I understand correctly, the question was mostly if we can really trust Hyperliquid, whether or not it's just
not Hyperliquid. There's a guy who launched on IP3. So Hyperliquid created this protocol HIP3, which allows anybody to create their own perps market. So what this guy did is he created a token called XMR1, and that is what the perp market is actually for. It's not for real Monero, as my understanding of it is. If he was doing it for real Monero, he'd use a Pith Oracle or a Redstone Oracle. These are just different Oracle providers. But yeah, because those are the quotes for real XMR. With this wrap, he has total control of the supply, so he can easily manipulate the perps price. That's the problem.
So then the perps price is specifically for the XMR1 token that he's created. I thought there was also, isn't there also like an actual XMR Oracle, like a no shit, like they're actually pegging to the XMR price?
That's right. That's what the Pith and Redstone Oracles provide. They're like a bunch of people are reading from like centralized exchanges and reading all these data, and they come up kind of average. And yeah, they have Pith has been running an Oracle for a while. You can kind of audit the way they're done, and they have kind of a decentralized Oracle. It's not just one guy having the Oracle. Like there's like whole mechanics you can read about Pith. And then I'm not sure exactly how Redstone works exactly, but I just know that they're big on Hyperliquid.
But the distinction here is that you can use. Sorry, Arctic. The distinction here is that you can actually use XMR1 as a wrapped XMR to exit into XMR, so long as the custodian like keeps his word and pays you out when you try to exit. I believe that's correct.
Yeah, that I understand. Yeah, he's acting as a as kind of a broker. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but the key question here is that wrapped XMR, is that XMR1 backed 100% by XMR, or is it backed by something else?
That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know.
That's what we don't know. That's just source trust me, bro.
Yeah, it's allegedly backed 1-to-1. It's allegedly backed 1-to-1.
It's allegedly backed. Okay, so this is where we get into it. Gets interesting. That's the point that we have to get to the bottom of.
But I want to know what he claims, because if it is, I mean, it's totally valid if he wants to back it by fiat or some other thing. That actually kind of creates like a decentralized trading pair. If he's claiming that it's backed by real XMR, it's like then it's like, okay, we have to trust that you're going to remain solvent. So yeah, I've actually been looking into ways you can kind of over collateralize and like have liquidity positions, like MakerDAO works like this, where you can have like
doesn't work. I'm sorry, it's
and Monero. But yeah, I think this kind of Monero.
Here's where you gotta look. I would look, to be blunt, I would take a hard look at the Poloniex chart for Monero for 2016. And if you have a short position in Monero, take a good hard look at that chart, because that is brutal. And as someone who was at the time involved in the collapse of CryptoCondom, which is this game that was played, they were short Monero and it collapsed brutally in this whole thing. That's the issue that you have with you can't over collateralize it. If Monero goes up 27, it's a factor of something like 27 times against Bitcoin, and that is a very dangerous position to be in. So this is why I kind of have to raise this. I've seen it happen before. I've seen the violent move on Poloniex, and this is why I really think the Poloniex chart from going back to 2014 is so important, because you see this violent move in 2016 where Monero went from 0.009 to about 0.36 or something like that at the how 3.5. So it was quite a drastic move, and that's the kind of that's a short squeeze if you want to call one. And that's what I'm getting at here. I mean, what's happening here with Hyperliquid? Obviously, people are putting up collateral to buy this Monero. Somebody must be putting up collateral, unless they actually have an actual wrapped token or Monero from the blockchain is taken and actually wrapped in this contract. And that's what's securing it. And then, yeah, that's a different story entirely. Then you have then it's fully collateralized. But if not, it gets interesting.
The one distinction I might make is that, like in a short squeeze on these somewhat decentralized platforms, they're limited by the actual liquidity available to back the token. So, like, whereas a short squeeze like the MOAS for the apes, for the GameStonk apes, their thesis was that, and technically speaking, in a short squeeze in traditional markets, your upside is infinite, and the downside for the loser is also infinite. Whereas, like, on the more decentralized platforms and the crypto leverage platforms, you're limited. You have this sort of auto leverage unwinding protocols that they use.
Well, but that's again the same thing. It's you basically what you're doing is setting a market on. And again, it's these kind of things that can collapse because effectively you're setting a market order. You can automate it. You can write a. I mean, I'm not going to sound like a baby boomer here. I'm a baby boomer, by the way, poking fun of this. But you can basically write a smart contract to simulate the collapse of the Zimbabwean dollar fairly easily and have it behave exactly the same way. I mean, you could do that. I mean, it's
just came up with the next big thing. That is a brilliant idea. We need to implement this. We will double our Monero stack on that basis alone.
I mean, it's laughable as it sounds, but you can do that. I mean, you can actually design a smart contract that mimics. What do you want? The Zimbabwean dollar, or do we want the Weimar Republic? Something like really flaky like that, like the Weimar Republic. Reich, what was it called?
Reichsmark?
Reichsmark, yeah, Reichsmark, yeah. Is some of these kind of good ones? I mean, you can do that. I mean, the fundamentals don't change. You can change the technology, but the fundamentals don't change. And this is kind of what kind of worries me with these kind of things. I mean, yeah, you got, but it could collapse and break apart in a sort of an interesting way. And what would happen if that happens? And it's very simple. If you're holding XMR on chain and you have custody of that XMR, you're laughing. If you're doing something else, you're in trouble.
Well, short squeeze on Monero has some upside, right? Obviously, Monero's price goes up. So, I mean, obviously, yeah, if you're like, it could be bad for your liquidator or whatever, but yeah, a short squeeze on Monero, like, maybe we want a more steady curve up, but yeah, I wouldn't say that a short squeeze on Monero would be like necessarily a good or bad thing.
Yes, that's my.
Well, it depends on what side of the position you're in.
That's my thought. Is the one thing I'm worried about with the Monero price is that it's moving too quickly. Maybe I'm wrong to be worried about this. Maybe Bawdy can point out something that I'm wrong to be worried about this. But I've seen this Monero price go, quite frankly, ape shit recently. And I'm sitting here like, I don't like to see the price move this fast. I wish it would move slower, because then it gets more time to change hands at these price levels. which makes them better support if it goes back downwards.
Have you seen what's happened? Because a lot of people are just looking at the chart from 2021 or 2018 or something like that on Kraken. Have you looked at the Poloniex chart on XMRBTC? Because that is a violent move in 2016. If you want to wake up,
I always keep the go ahead.
If you want a wake up call, how violently Monero can move price wise, take a look at the Poloniex chart against Bitcoin. Now, granted, it's against Bitcoin from 2014, right with like a month after the Genesis block of Monero, all the way up to it's still trading on Poloniex. It doesn't have the liquidity it used to be on Poloniex, but it's reasonably well hedged, so you can it does track it reasonably well. But when you look at that chart in 2016, that was a violent move, and in very short period of time.
I think that the level of violence that's possible is kind of decreased as Monero and Bitcoin are both much more valuable. So it's like it's not like it can increase by the same amount of factors. Going from 1 billion or Monero was what, like 1 million to 1 billion. That's way like Monero. It needs to go from we're at 8 billion right now. If we go to we go to 80 billion, but that's only a 10x versus a 1000x.
We had in 2016 Monero going from the bottom of the bear market at the start of 2015 until the peak of 2017. We saw Monero go from about 25 cents to $500. That's a pretty violent market.
Right. Violent moves are bad because
and then what happened afterwards is it's protracted bear market in terms of Bitcoin. This is what I'm saying. That chart speaks volumes. And what can happen. Now, I'm not saying that the second is going to be a repeat of the first, but I am saying is just take a hard look at that Poloniex chart because it's going to wake up a lot of people.
I definitely put the full chart there. What I do is I take the Kraken XMR price and I divide it by the Kraken BTC price, just so I don't have to feel dirty about using a Poloniex chart because I don't really trust those guys at all. They stole Bitcoin from me back in the day when they forced KYC.
I remember the history of Poloniex. I mean, it's a classic exchange. You get in, you get out, and you live. I mean, I honestly bought almost all my overwhelming majority of my Monero when they were American based.
Yeah,
pulled it out right away. I mean, so I was in that market, and that was the market where Monero traded in 2014 and 2015, and that was the market for Monero.
True.
Not what it is now. It's just this side thing. But what it tells me is the chart going all the way back. I mean, you could take the Kraken chart, divide it out, and construct the chart going back. That's fine. You're still going to see the same effect.
Well, the other reason too is that I especially don't trust Poloniex now. Like they're if you look at their divergences to Kraken, they go wild sometimes. In fact, they're the worst, in fact. So if I want to see the current price, I don't look at the XMR BTC ratio. Like I don't look at the reported Kraken ratio. I just divide the two charts by each other, which gives me the benefit of seeing all the way back and also being able to sort of trust the current price action that I'm seeing.
Oh, no, that makes a lot of sense. So absolutely.
Like without having to switch back and forth. To your point, though, they're the same chart. Like realistically, they're the same chart.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at the weekly, I mean, yes, you're going to see these divergences, but you're basically going to get the same chart. My point that I want to look at is what happened in 2016, because that was just violent, and the breakup points in that chart are really significant. That's the point that I've been watching it for so long, and so. The violent move occurred in 2016 and the protracted bear market against Bitcoin. Now what we're seeing is a sharp move in XMR BTC, because what we're seeing is Monero climbing in what is essentially a Bitcoin bear market, which is not what happened in 2016, but which is more interesting because the USD price went up quite up. Right now you're seeing Monero go up, but not dramatically, but in this bear market of Bitcoin. And that's the part. Sorry?
One thing I'm looking at this chart right now, and the current pattern that was created from 2024 at the Binance delisting until now is extremely reminiscent of the July 2014 to July 2016 price action. In fact, not only is it extremely reminiscent, but the very tops of those peaks from 2015 and 2016. So I don't know if I don't have the chart pulled up. I don't know if
I've got it in front of me actually.
So if you go back to 2015, you can see those two peaks. If you drop a horizontal line at the weekly close price there, you'll see that was actually relevant for us recently this summer, and that was where we sort of peaked out. And that was also relevant back in 2021, where sort of the bottom of the ratio was during the bull market. So that's actually a really incredibly crucial spot for this chart, and we're well past it now. And hypothetically, if this plays out, right, if Monero were to have, maybe it doesn't have to happen as violently in the course of 3 weeks, but if Monero were to go back to that same ratio, we're looking at a $2,000 to $3,500 price for Monero at, assuming Bitcoin stays at its current level.
That's a big assumption. Now,
Yeah,
I'm the perennial bear on Bitcoin. But my point of the chart is exactly the point you just mentioned. Is if you look at the double bottom, you look at the two peaks in 2014, 2016, and we look at the breakout that we see on this chart right now. And actually, that's why it speaks so much from the point of view of what it is. And in fact, it would be probably unlikely. It could happen, but it would likely be a repeat of 2016. But when you look at where we are right now in the chart, you've got to really ask some hard questions. And again, and I'm going to caution this, because if the bears really get into Bitcoin, and then and I think from listening at the first part of your talk, there's a very strong case for that. Then it may not be as sharp in Monero as it was in 2016. But yeah, I mean, you could see a $1,000 Monero or something, but it could be counterbalanced by a drop in Bitcoin to actually even create a breakout. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, like if we really are, like if Bitcoin really isn't a bear scenario here and it keeps going down, even as Monero breaks to new all-time highs, there will come a moment where something just breaks and the market says, holy shit, oh my God, and everyone rushes into Monero. Like that could legitimately happen. And that would be good in a way, and it would also be bad, like from the sort of perspective that Shortwave is putting out. The only thing that I would somewhat counterbalance what Shortwave said is that, like, it all depends on the reason, right? If Monero pumps because a bunch of Sol degens and a bunch of Moon Boys got into the coin and then mega pumped the coin and then dumped it, that's basically bad. But if everyone suddenly realizes all of a sudden, oh shit, I need to be in Monero and I need to hodl Monero, I need to save in Monero, that's a totally different story, right? That's sustainable action. And the important thing is that we get sustainable action. Yes, upside volatility does imply some level of downside volatility. But overall, like really like good price action with high volatility towards the upside can be a good thing under certain circumstances. And I think Monero has the potential, for some of that.
As you were saying earlier, I think the transaction volume chart, like the number of transactions, we're at like 20,000 right now. It's been consistent. Like, I think you would want to see an increase in transaction volume, and to say that, okay, that's fundamental indication that let's say we're up 800% in price. Okay, but if transactions are up 2x in the year too, then that's probably maybe actually what it should be happening.
Yeah.
Well, my point is that there's two factors here. First of all, if we look also at the transaction charts at both Dash and at Zcash, where we didn't see the sort of market develop of, I guess it Dash even actually where the market, the peer-to-peer market. What I'm saying is that there's a lot of deception in that chart, because if we argue, which I think is a legitimate argument, that what the Monero community has done is responded to these delistings by going into decentralized exchanges and decentralized peer-to-peer markets. When this is what's maintaining the transaction rate, then what you should see is a surge in the transaction rate. In fact, a good indicator is to overlay the Zcash chart, and to some degree the Dash chart, on the Monero chart, and you'll see that. In the case of Zcash, you see it going down. Then there's a spike up when it really moved up, and then there's a correction, but a correction on a significantly higher level, and that's indicative of the impact on the centralized exchange transactions. The point that I'm getting at is that if there is also a relisting on centralized exchanges, which I think we're starting to see indications of in the United States, that could also change the picture. So what will happen is that we would see a significant surge in the transaction rate of Monero. So I would expect that to materialize at some point.
That is a really interesting point, actually. Because when Monero got delisted, we don't know how many transactions were attributable to, say, Binance and some of the other exchanges that delisted, but it could be significant, right? It could be a lot, and maybe a lot of the sort of languishing at the 20 to 25 level is directly related to that. So yeah, maybe you're right. If we get listed, God forbid, on Coinbase, and at least relisted on Binance, maybe that could spike the transaction rates.
I think basically that there's a significant portion of it is actually that, and because if you got to look at what the impact is, the way to look at it is take a look at Dash and take a look at Zcash. What happened to their transaction rate when they got hit with the delistings? It went down. Because they got hit just as badly as we did, Dash in particular, for no reason. But so if you look at Dash and you look at Zcash, you see what happened to their transaction rates. They say, why didn't this happen in Monero? Well, the explanation would be that Monero compensated with peer-to-peer cash and decentralized markets, which is my theory. And I guess the reason I'm really looking at this in such detail is because I'm really interested in trying to predict, or at least get a handle on what the likely pressure on the Monero blockchain itself is going to be as far as actual transaction rates.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so that's why I sort of focus a lot on this, because I say, okay, all these issues of the code and all these other stuff. So that's what the area where I'm interested in. And I'm looking at this and I'm saying, wait a minute. You look at the trend from July 2016 Monero transactions all the way to January of 2021, and you can draw a straight line, and you get like about 300% a year, and all of a sudden it stops. For what reason? Well, this coincides with the whole issue of the blockchain surveillance companies, and you get a whole issue of what Chainalysis has been doing and lobbying all the governments and pushing Monero off exchanges and MiCA in the EU and all of this stuff. And yet the transaction rate isn't budging. So if you're taking out all these transactions on the centralized exchanges, well, we obviously are, what's it been replaced with? It's been replaced by the DEX and by the decentralized exchanges. Now, what's going to happen if you suddenly relist Monero? Well, all of a sudden, that decentralized transaction is not going to disappear. In fact, if anything, it's going to grow because it's going to be fed by the liquidity from the centralized exchanges.
Another like really interesting factor in all this, Bitcoin showed up before the infrastructure was built out. Monero is getting a shitload of infrastructure built out in the DEX and peer-to-peer markets because we're off of exchanges. So if a relisting happens, like the infrastructure is already set up there for the masses if they want to come in and start transacting in a Monero economy. That could actually like be an amplifying effect.
Oh yeah, this is exactly what I'm expecting. Because what we're dealing with is you've got the decentralized market, and it's sitting there kind of constrained by the lack of liquidity from the centralized market. And then you come across and you ask the question, okay, fine. What happens if you suddenly open the floodgates on the centralized market? What's going to happen to the decentralized? It's not going to go shrink. It's going to grow.
Yeah, because it makes it easier especially for the people running the businesses, like the people that are sort of pegging back to the. It makes that liquidity just with less friction.
So you're adding liquidity to the decentralized market. This is what people it's going to happen, and this is where I'm saying that one of the things when I look at transaction rates that concerns me, for example, I mean the cases that were discussed at Roman Storm, I don't think has as big an impact on blockchain surveillance because there's more a question of what the allegation in this case, in the case of is what they're doing was illegal or not. But a case like Sterlinghoff is very different because it's really a whodunit case. And that kind of thing, if I've always been a very strong believer that blockchain surveillance doesn't work on Bitcoin. No matter what the government is, they're being sold a bill of goods. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. And I've seen a lot of evidence, and I studied this. And, the government is spending a lot of money thinking they're getting surveillance, but they're not. They're getting basically what looks like surveillance, but it's not really working. If you get a situation where there's a reversal and the blockchain surveillance doesn't hold up in court.
What's crazy is that it doesn't even matter. Like They're prosecuting these things, and the judges are rubber stamping it as if it worked. Like, that's the worst part about it.
Well, yeah, but here's the problem. Well, here's the issue that they're building up. The minute that happens, what happens if an appeal, the whole thing gets overturned? Then the whole thing cascades and blows open. So
I doubt whether or not that actually might. So what we see in a lot of cases, like the Supreme Court doesn't take a case, and so the different federal courts issue conflicting rulings all the time on issues that you would think should be settled, but the Supreme Court just declines to hear cases. So you get, like, especially with gun laws, you get, like the New York District Court, they make all these crazy rulings. The Supreme Court never hears it, and you have this like significant diversity of how things fall.
But this case, I think what we're dealing with is a much more fundamental issue. I think we're dealing with the question of whether or not the whole issue has actually been tested in court. And in reality, in a lot of these cases, it's not. The one case where there really was an issue of testing it in court was the Sterlingoff case, was the one that I was involved helping the defense. And essentially again, there's a whole host of ways. I mean, if we listened to the discussion here a week ago, there's a whole host of reasons why this thing could be overturned. That had nothing to do with blockchain surveillance, actually. But the blockchain surveillance issue is very much at the core of that case. And the issue comes down is to get a test of the actual, is this stuff evidentiary? And that's the acid test. If that drops, then it undermines the whole narrative of blockchain surveillance. And that is at the core of the reason why Monero has been delisted from exchanges. Then you get the question. Sorry?
I was going to ask you, actually. I was going to ask you if what we've seen in court has been garbage. Like, it's obviously like it doesn't work. It's nonsense. But are there, like, from what you've seen from your experience in the industry, are there any other like methods that they have which might be stronger that they're kind of withholding? Like, are they maybe pursuing a strategy where at first they throw down their worst garbage evidence? If that gets overturned, they say, well, wait, no, actually we have these better methods. And then they go through the whole cycle again. Like, is there maybe a legal strategy going on there?
No, I don't think so. I just think basically the government went down. What they originally wanted, because I followed it all the way back in 2018, what they wanted basically was KYC and treating it like you would treat cash or you treat banking, etc. That is essentially, and the lobbying of the industry with a lot of elements within the Bitcoin community, which were strangled by the fact that they wanted to essentially have a banking type situation in Bitcoin with less demands than a regular fiat banking. They pushed this narrative on governments, not the other way around. So that was sold to governments. They wanted travel rule and they wanted KYC, the same thing as you do in a bank. That's what they wanted. They didn't want this stuff for blockchain surveillance, but that was sold to them by the blockchain surveillance companies. And this is the point I think. Sorry?
It's classic cartelization of industry, because only they are going to really be able to meet those KYC stringent requirements that they put forth.
Well, the problem is that they have is that it doesn't work for that, and it can be shown not to work. And then it becomes a question of as to how long can you keep the thing in the lid until all of a sudden the whole thing blows over. And the minute it blows over in one jurisdiction, it's going to blow over all over the world. I mean, you talk about the EU. Well, wait a minute. The minute people say that we need to have Monero to stop people being falsely accused, now you have a challenge under the European Convention of Human Rights, which is written, the jurisprudence there has read privacy all over the thing. So
there's currently a challenge in the EU regarding this?
There isn't. And I don't think it would happen, but if until there's a break, I'm not way. It could happen in the United States. When there's a break in it, then you're going to see a flood. That's what I'm saying. They can keep the lid so far, as much as they can say that this stuff works. But if you can show that a person has been an innocent man, has been sitting in jail because of this, and it's then reversed on appeal over this issue, that's dynamite. It's just not simple as that.
Yeah,
and you're not going to be able to hold the flood. And you're not going to be able to hold the flood.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. Sociologically, you're not going to be able to keep that under the carpet anymore.
It's only so long you can keep something like this, unless you can keep the suppression. And this is the real issue. I got the certification for CipherTrace. Where is CipherTrace today? They disappeared. Why? They were helping the defense in the Sterlingoff case. They then stopped at the 11th hour and bailed out. And within 3 months, all their products are shut down. Like it's a 2-year certification to do the blockchain surveillance as an investigator. And I wanted to renew it. I mean, I would have paid them $800 to renew it, but they couldn't do it because they shut down all their products. So I mean, it's just, and granted, I mean, me given the opportunity to do that certification is probably a symbol of why they actually ended up, because what they were doing was they were breaking ranks and with the whole industry, and at the same time they were saying, we'll help you the defense, and there's a lot of cover up this because they're hiding behind proprietary software, hiding behind proprietary systems, and this is what's so vulnerable, and you expose this in the court, and suddenly if it breaks, well, you're going to have a flood.
Is there a case to be made that CipherTrace was kind of like a covert good guy in this whole thing?
Well, I think more the case they were trying to say is, look, we're doing it right, we're doing it, and the competition is not. I don't think they were necessarily a good guy per se, but more I think a case that they wanted to say, okay, this is how you do it properly, and the other guy's going way too far. So that was part of it. So there was some element of that. I mean, obviously they're working for the defense and all that, but that really, I think, stung the prosecutors and stung the government, because all of a sudden they're exposing a lot of the industry secrets to the other side. I mean,
any idea why they just disappeared? Was it a funding issue? Did the government withdraw their contracts? Did they get?
Well, first of all, they were put up by Mastercard. The guys at Mastercard probably could have just looked at it and say, this is just way over risk of us anyway. And then and put yourself in the position of a prosecutor. Would you keep giving contracts to them if they're not working for the defense?
Yeah, that kind of makes sense.
I mean, you got to put yourself on the other side. I mean, would you actually want to do that? And that's the bread and butter of that industry. It's not the defense. And so, and what about all the KYC AML? Because that's why they make the money, and essentially alleging that these coins are dirty, therefore you get your accounts freeze, and all this other stuff. So the whole thing is based on a premise that you can have some degree of reliability, and if you don't have that reliability, particularly after one hop, then it becomes a real issue. You start looking at the science. For example, the Financial Action Task Force did they asked a whole bunch of different blockchain surveillance companies to come on numbers on both Bitcoin and Ethereum on what percentage of illicit transactions they came up with. And they were all over the place. And nothing on Ethereum, which is even more interesting because of the size of the blockchain. That's another issue. So, I mean, this is as far as I can see, this is a ticking time bomb that's sooner or later going to blow. And when it blows, it's going to be, you're going to see it on the Monero charts, on both on price and on transactions. That's just my 2 cents on the whole issue. And it's not going to be pretty when it blows from the other side.
Yeah, I'm actually slightly, believe it or not, I'm slightly worried about blowing up to high prices too fast, kind of like shortwave. I just know what happens under those cases. People take profits. Like, if I would be lying if I said that if Monero blew up to 3,000, that I wouldn't use Monero to buy some high ticket items that I would like to get. Like, I would do that. Everyone does that.
Of course, everybody's going to do that. That's normal market behavior. The question is if it happens in a bear market on Bitcoin, I think I'll take a lot of the sting on that. But there'll still be a significant move in Monero. But if it happens in a bear market in Bitcoin, it's gonna take a sting about it. But
yeah,
something's
actually,
going on.
That could actually end up being a really good stabilizing aspect, because you're right, if it happens in a bear market during Bitcoin, suddenly Monero now becomes this is the performer, this is the safety play when Bitcoin is in a bear market. And so maybe people in a bull market, people go out of Monero a little bit, and in a bear market, they go into Monero. And if that kind of like habit pattern sociologically gets established, that could actually provide a level of stabilization to the price, and that might not be a bad way to do it.
It could be kind of like Chainlink did that, but like 2018 to 2021 cycle, it was kind of like the weird one where people like actually made money during that bear market, and Monero could do something like that.
What's the most brutal bear market you've experienced?
Me personally?
Yes.
2018.
2018. Anybody Anybody go earlier?
Say again.
Anybody want to go earlier?
I got in just after Mount Gox.
Okay.
But then it sold in 2017 because
the most brutal bear market that I have experienced, and I call the tail end of it, was in 2011. And that is when the price of Bitcoin dropped from $32 US to $2 US.
Fortunately, in terms of time, you didn't have to wait that long.
Actually, to get to $32, it was a bit longer. It was about a couple of years. Because the peak occurred in 2011, and I believe it was around July, June. And I caught the tail end of this. The bottom hit in the beginning of December 2011. It was till the spring of 2013 that we started to see the rise. And yes, we got back to $32. So it was a good year and a half to get back into that market. But what's interesting about that market, it was a brutal over 90% drop from $32 to $2. That's a brutal bear market.
Oh shit, bro, you're right. You 100%. Yeah, that was like a 20 months before you could actually get back. Wait, yeah. So you bought in at 32?
No. I actually found out about Bitcoin in August. And I was already trading about 10 to 15. I was watching it down. I was researching, and I started buying around 4, and so it go down to 2, and then it started buying back up. But my initial investment was about a 50% drop. I mean, it went from my first investment was about $5 Canadian, 537 Canadian. I still remember it, and that's why it dropped down about 50%, and then it went back in again. Of course, in those days you could buy like $100. What was it? $100, and you got like 18 bitcoins. 100 Canadian dollars. Actually, it was over 18 bitcoins. So it was quite interesting. But and then there was this guy called Pirate at 40, and what he did is he monitored the whole thing, and he figured out that the compounding interest drop per week for Bitcoin was about 8% a week. So he went down right at the bottom of the bear market and offered to pay 7% a week on Bitcoin. And he picked the bottom of the market to launch the first Pirate Savings as Trust, as it was called. And you can go to Bitcoin Talk and find all this interesting stuff. And that's when I really started getting excited, because I thought, this is crazy. And then the market went up. And then, of course, what you do to make money is very simple. You buy the Bitcoin, you take delivery, and you wait for the short squeeze to blow up. And by the August of 2012, he was arrested. The Securities and Exchange Commission made the legal case that Bitcoin was money, and therefore he was selling securities, and ended up in jail. And that's the story of Trevor and Chavez. But what's really interesting about it is that it became first of all, the case of Bitcoin was money, but when you figured out what the guy did, you figured out that he actually was pricing it correctly. He was actually pricing it the interest rate you should charge, given how badly it was tanking. That was the part that was really interesting about it. And yet, of course, the whole thing. Most people think, it was a massive Ponzi scheme. Well, that's what it became. He tried to keep shorting the market and don't go anywhere. But it was like, okay, this is interesting. This is really interesting. And yeah, I mean, the fundamentals one there. I mean, the issue that Monero has, and a lot of people are going to start looking at transaction rates, is really healthy, because the issue that Monero has is that it has solved the Bitcoin's scaling problem and the Bitcoin security problem. It had nothing to do with privacy. And the only coin that's really solved this problem is Monero. And that's the part that a lot of people still don't realize about Monero.
So ASIC mining and tail emission are the features there you're referring to?
I'm talking, no, not ASIC mining. I'm talking tail emission and adaptive block size. So you don't have a fixed block size. Those are the key things. You need the tail emission to support the adaptive block size. Yeah. And that's critical. Otherwise, it goes to zero.
Have no other proof of work chains or even proof of stake chains tried that? Or is that because it seems
they do have bits and pieces in proof of work. I mean, you have Dogecoin was stumbled upon a tail emission because of a bug. I mean, it was designed to fail after 6 months and stop. And they had a bug, so they got the tail emission from there. And when a Bitcoin Cash has turned around and created an adaptive block size without a tail emission, but all of my analysis that I've done on the Monero fee market tells me that's going to go to that it is not possible to support a chain with an adaptive block size. It's going to go to zero as the block size grows. The same is true about Monero. If you increase the block size of Monero, the fee and reward stays constant or drops.
Hey, what's the latest on the fail gracefully temporary block cap size?
That's gone. All that's gone. Basically, what's happened no, I don't think it's going to. No, I mean, what happened in the last MRL meeting is we basically reached a consensus on a lower growth rate in the long-term median and dropping the what's that called, the penalty median from growth rates. And so you're going to have but it's not going to be any caps.
Yeah, it probably wasn't ever really an issue anyways, because I mean, it's extremely unlikely that we're just going to blow up to that level of transactions.
The numbers, no, it's not as simple as the meets the eye, because here's the problem. Here's the issue. There's serious bugs in, I think it was 32 and 100 megabytes.
Mm-hmm.
And those numbers are possible if something goes crazy, and you have to have some way of controlling. Now, what the book 900 came up with was to sort of tone down the levels, and his analysis was really good on the end, on the tail end. Like, phenomenal. I mean, it really it was. I pictured what is happening, and but I think it's going to be a bit of a rough ride in the short term. You could have issues. But no, I mean, there is a guarantee that you're not going to hit that point, because that growth in about a 2-year period as a minimum, and depends on the pricing, and even longer. So you have that grace period. So there's enough time to fix it.
Yeah, exactly.
And so this is the issue. So you have that breathing room, and then you can do. And this, of course, doing full chain membership groups. And so now we have. Oh, this is the other one that people forget. Full chain membership proofs will give us proper view keys.
That would, hey, maybe XMR1 can actually make his hyperliquid wrap token.
So this is the big one. So you're going to have proper view keys, and that changes the complete picture on something like Mica. I mean, it'll give the EU a way out if it's a legal case, a human rights case, and so on. So this is what I'm saying. This whole thing is on tenterhooks. The Monero is still stay delisted. And so one of the reasons why I supported the change is because I realized that there are scenarios where, yes, we could see a spike in transactions in Monero, which are quite drastic, and it's big enough to trigger the stuff that's concerning a lot of the devs before they get a chance to fix it. So this is some of these bugs are going to take work. And so this is part, there were legitimate concern there. But no, I don't think we're going to see caps and the sanity, all that basically was ended in the last meeting.
I'll be sure to let Nikita Zarko, whatever his name is, I'll be sure to let him know that everything's fine now, not to worry.
Well, he put an issue in there. I think that's the one that I'm going to be responding to the issue. He's made some very valid points in there. He's the one that sent me the email to show that he put this issue, because he has some legitimate concerns. There are legitimate concerns there, and what he's put down, don't get me wrong, they're very legitimate concerns, but they're not disastrous. I mean, if you're going to look at what the scenario could be, I mean, yes, I could see a scenario where we could even hit a cap because of the rate of growth of the long-term median. People start arguing and deciding to change it a la Bitcoin, and the system heals itself, solves itself. Well, and then all of a sudden, the pressure's off. I can see a scenario like that happen. I think it's a bit of an edge case, but it can happen.
But I interrupt there just so I could read over super chats that are sitting. Let's see. Quadrio Salata tipped and said, "What are your thoughts on support XMR's current hash rate? What would stop a large mining pool doing some cubic style attacks and shorting the price? If there was sufficient liquidity, couldn't this be more profitable than their pool?"
That's a lot to unwrap.
That is a very
it's an interesting
question.
I mean, the trying to do a cubic attack and short the price attack, quite a lot, that's flagrant market manipulation, so it'll probably end up all over the courts if you just try to pull a stunt like that. And why would the people that are in that pool stay hashing in that pool? I mean, my first question, if something like that is happening.
There was so much that we learned from the cubic attack. Actually, personally, I think a lot of us learned a lot from this attack. There's sort of two, and I had a really long conversation with Nikita about this pretty recently. There's two mechanisms of attack that we saw develop, or that you could see develop. One is just the basic hash rate, like how can I acquire enough hash rate to attack Monero, whether that be through selfish mining, chain disruption, or an outright 51% attack. That's really difficult because you have to acquire either the CPUs, or you have to rent the hash rate, or you have to get Amazon, Azure, Microsoft servers, or you have to rent world supercomputers, or all of the above. That's extremely costly and difficult, even at current hash rate, and that's only going to get more difficult. The cubic mechanism of attack was actually didn't depend on hash rate. What they did is they effectively bribed the network to participate in their pool. So they launched a pool just like any other regular pool under these like kind of big claims and promises, and they were able to acquire at best about a steady 25% of the hash rate. They were able to plus up their hash rate by renting, right? So renting hash rate, sort of dipping into the pool of the first mechanism we talked about. They were able to get up to about 33, maybe maximum 34%. So they weren't really able to swing that much higher. And what they did is they used the market to subsidize their attack to bribe the miners. So as a regular pool, they're just offering the exact same amount of block reward as any other pool is offering. So anyone's just participating in that pool or another pool, it's only slight differences. What they were able to do was supplement that block reward that you would get paid as a hasher with their cubic token price by paying you out in the cubic token price, which was valued at about twice as much as the actual block reward for periods of time. And so that bribery mechanism, they used the market of a new token, of the hype of the bull market, to subsidize an attack. And that wasn't dependent. Like, it wouldn't matter if the hash rate, and this is a little bit overstated, but if the hash rate was 10x what it is now, this style of attack would still have similar ballpark levels of effectiveness. So it's not a hash rate solvable problem the way that Cubic bribed the miners, or bribed the hash to try and launch these selfish mining attacks. And yes, it was a price attack. It was the intention. I believe that their intention was probably somehow wrapped up in the exchange complex and Cabal and Zcash and whatever, who knows, right? A little bit of speculation there. But I think it was wrapped up with the intention of damaging Monero's reputation to sort of hinder our price performance. But the cool thing is no one cared. So, but the overarching thing to take away from this is there's two mechanisms. One of them is to sort of overpay as a means of bribing hash rate so that you can attack the chain. And the other means is to just like outright acquire the CPU hash. And those are two different mechanisms. And one of them is a problem that's fundamental to Nakamoto consensus. And there's a good chance that that can be improved. And the other is really just straight up a hash rate problem and a price correlated issue as well. So as our price goes up, the first mechanism of attack becomes more and more out of reach, even for large resource actors.
Speaking of,
I would say the second also, because you got to look at, I'm actually looking at the cubic chart right now. And you have three peaks, and the all chart, and the peak where they attacked us was in August of this year. And what's interesting about it, it's the weakest peak, but what's also interesting about it is that Cubic was a very, very fast falling token. They had a halving in the middle of that, which essentially took weakened the attack by 50%. And then, of course, the crash of the price of Cubic vis-a-vis the price of, the rise of the price of Monero put an end to the whole thing. But the bribery attack kind of didn't really well as well. That's why it would theoretically work, because people start. It's not that easy to move people from one to the other. There were questions as to how they were distributing the Cubic, because one of the problems is if you start paying the people in Cubic, then what you do is you simply sell the Cubic and dump it on the market, and that causes the price of the Cubic to crash. This is the other issue that occurs, and for the attack to work, you have to. Well, people, they don't want the Cubic; they're just going to dump it. So they had to control. They had to control how they paid out the Cubic. Had to be their pool. You couldn't go ahead and say, okay, I'm going to set up a rival pool and do the same thing, because they were controlling the supply of the cubic. So it's, and then the bear market approach. I went to my original idea back in August is that you can bear rate the thing by simply selling the cubic on the open market.
I think that a large. Or did you have some more to say?
No, I don't actually. No.
All right, jump in one more time. Finish off these super
yeah,
chats. Fiat Demise sent a super chat. Said Super DM features up on the Dev XMRchat site. Look for the Super DM button next to the Send Tip button. For now, might change. Would love for people to try it out and give feedback. So you can basically send a super chat that sends an encrypted DM to the creator directly, which is pretty cool. And it is end-to-end encrypted. So you have to have a key you got to save. And then I got one from Anon23 that said a comment about the XMR transaction rate. Because the fees are so low, I think we can't really draw much conclusions from the current TX rate. There could easily be a single actor behind most of the current transaction rate. Transactions are really cheap.
A single actor keeps the act up for like 5 years.
Speaking of pool mining, though, one thing I don't know if this, like, I have not confirmed this. I haven't looked into it, but I got a message on Nostr saying that hashvault.pro got hacked, and so if you're hashing on hashvault.pro, you might want to take a look and possibly direct your hash rate elsewhere. Mind you, it's only 4% of the network, so it's not a concern. But as I said, I have not confirmed this. I don't know if it's true or not, but I did see that as a message, so take a look.
Interesting. Yeah. So
one thing that the cubic attack showed for me, I mean, I think we kind of knew it, but a large group of decentralized, like cypherpunk anarchists are like not the people you really want to mess with. Like, there was a guy in the like largest Monero Telegram has like 10,000 people in it, and he like was like, I run a botnet. I'm gonna take down the cubic network, and then the cubic network halted. Like, I was like, holy shit, this guy's in Telegram doing this. Yeah, it was pretty incredible.
Well, I mean, one of the things that people don't realize in a decentralized network, and I'm not just talking, you could do it right across, is each person that's hurt by an attack has a different approach of getting back at the attacker. And you could get hit from every single direction. Some people might think the answer is to sue them. Some people might think it's to launch a botnet. Some people might be thinking something else. I mean, they're going to get so, because each individual group of members that feel the attack, they should have come up with a way to get at them. And they're going to do it independently of each other, no coordination, and coming from all sorts of different directions. And in completely different venues. I mean, you know, they're more vulnerable legally to an attack. Because they're centralized enough that you can attack them that way. And what they were doing, seriously, yeah.
They didn't attempt to double spend because they obviously would have been them, right? Yeah, they like that's kind of a double double spend attack. Like, they could have tried it, but they didn't because like everyone knew who it was.
I mean, knew who it was, and then it would have been like a slam dunk case of fraud. Because
the liquidity that they would have needed to cash that out would have had them up against an exchange, right? A corporate exchange with the resources to actually go attack them in court.
I mean, well, anybody can attack them in court because the cost of how much? What's the net worth of what's the market capitalization of Monero? That's $7 billion. Well, it's going to be people in there that can afford a lawsuit or two.
Yeah, I mean, I think generally it's an expensive proposition to prosecute those kinds of cases, and it would pretty much be someone in Monero that's comfortable operating in the corporate legal lawful realm, which kind of excludes a lot of people in some ways, and people that just like, even the rich ones that don't care, like, yeah, whatever, so that kind of limits the pool of people that would do that. And we even saw that a little bit with Binance, because the Binance fractional reserve case, there was enough reasonable suspicion to actually file a demand and probably get discovery into their books. Like, that could have been a vector that Monero pursued. We never did, but it was possible.
The question is, what were they doing? I mean, did they eventually honor all their Monero payments?
I suppose that they did, but of course, what you would argue then is that their price divergences caused them to pay out less Monero than was owed, and they induced panic for people to sell their Monero that they couldn't withdraw, but to go into a different coin, which caused a broad level of harm against the entire Monero price ecosystem and amounted to a level of fraud, particularly the fraud of saying that they had coins that they didn't have. That in and of itself is fraudulent, regardless of who got harmed how much. Like, you could establish that as fraud and then seek a class action for extra people to come on and say, hey, I have a claim here.
It could have happened. I mean, I'm not saying that it couldn't. And
hell, it's
Binance had also, it's still good. I mean, it's still good. I mean, it's the same issue. The biggest one is some of the claims that were made by Chainalysis. This is another one, which is really interesting. That could lead to, libel. And you don't do it in the United States. You do it in a jurisdiction which is much more friendly for prosecuting libel.
Oh, okay, libel. I got you.
That was a big one, because if you do it in America, America's got some really there are countries like Britain and Canada that are brutal for a libel lawsuit.
Oh yeah, we're all about the slander in America.
And so the idea that in America there's a lot more protections for the person that actually there's a lot more protections for the defense than there's in the UK or Canada. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's a really difficult one. Like, even philosophically, that's a difficult one, because how do you balance the right to say whatever the fuck you want with intentionally causing harm to someone?
That's where the law is very different in the United States than in Canada and Britain.
Well, isn't that the whole reason that the people in the UK are getting arrested for tweets?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you got a lot more. It's more easier to do something like that in Britain or Canada than it is in the United States.
It's one of these things where I feel like you can't, like, it's not good to have anything more than a couple sentences or like a paragraph of a law on the topic and say, here's the general idea. This requires extreme nuance by a judge, by a mediator, to make a judgment here about as to what actually happened. Because every single case can be very, very different, and like the very subtle nuances make or break.
But my point is that you can basically have, when you attack a decentralized network like Monero, you don't know where the attack and the counterpunch is going to come from, and in what venue and with what methodology.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, that's essentially what it is. It could be in the legal realm, it could be botnets, it could be whatever.
That's hilarious then, because like the people that are probably running botnet miners are like, well, let's just turn our botnets to cubic for a minute and shut these guys up.
I mean, it interferes with what they're doing. So I mean, again, and that's one way to do it. I mean, it's like anything else.
That's that's a social media vector that I haven't heard anyone bring out yet. Maybe because it's not like really the best case. I would have to think about it and do more research to really make a good case for it. But people always be like, "Oh, your botnets and Monero are terrible, and your mining is just owned by botnets." Be like, actually, botnets are one of the big factors in why Cubic failed.
The other one that people don't pay much attention to, and Monero really lends itself to, I'll tell you what it is. You have a computer, like you use it for other things, but relatively new computer. You're in the winter in a cold country, you can mine Monero for free. Not using the computer, it's a sunk cost. Any Monero you get is a bonus. Why? Because the electricity cost gets offset by your heating cost. It's a basic first law of thermodynamics attack. Very simple. If it's cold, especially if you're using electric heat, you simply mine, displace your heating, and all you're getting is a rebate on your electricity bill. That's it. And you don't have to be profitable, quote unquote, because A, the computer's a sunk cost, and B, your power that's going, the energy that you're dissipating in a resistor to heat your home or your apartment or whatever is energy that you can just dissipate in a Monero mine.
It would be interesting to see the analysis of the differential of the cost in heat pump versus resistance heating, right? So electrical resistance, which is effectively what mining Monero ends up being as a heater.
Yes, correct.
It's a resistance heater, right? So there's a differential from that to a heat pump versus how much money you make from the mining of Monero itself, assuming zero equipment costs.
You're assuming. in this example that you're using a heat pump. Okay, I can show you there's 20 to 30% of houses in Canada and in cold parts of Canada that don't use heat pumps. It's straight resistive heating.
Oh my God, that's so retarded. Like, okay,
No, it's not. It's not as it's cold enough. If you're sitting at roughly at say in Fahrenheit around 32 degrees or a little over that, yeah, heat pumps make a lot of sense. But if you're minus 40, and it doesn't matter whether you're Celsius or Fahrenheit, heat pumps don't make sense.
Unless you have a ground coupled heat pump, maybe.
That's expensive. There's a capital cost for these things. You got to factor in, for example, there's a lot to be said. And the other issue that you get with resistive heating is you might have a heat pump, and some part of the house is not really cold. You need or you have this greenhouse you want to heat up or something like that. There's these opportunistic areas where you can still get the resistive heat. So there's enough resistive heat around in a cold climate, or it's just not cost effective because you only get 2 months of cold weather, and the rest of the year you can basically it's warm. So why are you going to go and put this massive capital expense to create a heat pump when a resistive heater will do the job for a fraction of the cost? You're going to factor in the capital costs and so on. So it's not as simple as that. I mean, there's a lot of, like I said, 20 to 30%, 20%, and resistive heating in Canada, and in Europe it's probably even higher. Not everybody has heat pumps.
By the way, go ahead.
Sure.
I was just going to say, by the way, if somebody wants to send me one of those Antminer X5 Monero miners, I'll turn it on in mine because it's something I've been interested in. So if someone has an extra one laying around, I'll take it.
I mean, the thing, but that's what I'm saying. So the heat, the cost is zero. A lot of high-rise apartments, it's cheaper to put a resistive heating. Some houses in the basement, they put a resistive heater because it's warmer, and they have a heat pump on the upper floors. So and ground-based heat pumps are very expensive to install. So and then there's still people still on oil or natural gas, and then you have the differences there.
Yeah, it's still like the thermodynamics 100% work out for coal, for coal
actually,
or like wood stoves.
Actually, this is really interesting. Coal is an example where if Britain used to do everything with coal, and it's cheaper to burn the coal in a power plant and get 30 or 40% efficiency than with a typical fireplace where you get 5% efficiency if you're lucky, or 2% efficiency.
Oh yeah, fireplaces.
So all heat goes up the flue. It's the same thing if you go from a steam engine powered by coal to an electric engine. You're way better off putting the coal in a centralized power plant, getting 30 or 40% efficiency, than the steam engine is going to give you like 5% or 6% efficiency.
But if you have a proper furnace in your basement, then like you just can't beat coal in that case.
Well, not much people have that sort of a setup with coal. Most of the people that are using coal, they tend to be old stoves, and they have draft issues and so on. Because what happened is basically it was more in Britain. It used to be totally 100% coal in the 50s and 60s, and it moved completely away from it. But when they were burning coal, it was more efficient to burn the coal in a power plant and just heat the house electrically, resistive, than it was to actually burn the coal in the house. And the other thing that people don't realize about coal is that you have to run it at a constant rate all the time. So at night, the coal power is very, very cheap. So what they did in the UK in the 50s and 60s, they had this big mass accumulator of heat, and you heat this thing up at night, and then you draw the heat down in the day. And it was all electrically fired. So the efficiencies were very different. The whole issue of proof of work mining and electricity efficiency, it's a whole topic in itself. What people are doing. This time around is evening because I'm actually in Europe right now, by the way.
Oh, cool.
So I'm actually going to be, I'm in Geneva, and I'm going to be going to the CCC in Hamburg. So
the CCC, what's that?
Chaos Communication Congress in Hamburg.
Okay.
It's a big hacker conference in Europe. I'm on very odd time for me to do this. I'm normally Pacific time, and this is Central European time. So 9 hours difference.
The Monero show actually happens at like the perfect time to grab both EU and US.
Well, if you're in the US, in the West Coast in Canada, it's kind of 8 in the morning.
It's a little bit early, yeah.
It's a bit on the early side. And it's kind of a bit of an odd time for me, actually. Here, it's 5 p.m. in the afternoon. So that's a bit different.
Well, guys, it's been a pleasure. I think I got to.
It's been a great pleasure. Like I said, I may be able. I don't know if I get a chance to come in on from Hamburg on the CCC or not.
Cool. Yeah, looking forward to what you hear over there.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So anyway, so it'll be very interesting what's happening. Yeah, I'm watching the price of Cubic go down. The bears need to work on that. I'm looking at the chart right now, kind of right in front of me. So.
Resounding laughs were had by all. That chart is just hilarious.
This is in terms of US dollars, 0.6660 and then 6103.
Yeah, I can't even count the zeros anymore. You have to go scientific notation.
They have actually coin market cap has this a sort of a symbol that they use with the number of zeros in front of it. Oh, it's dropped a bit more.
What's the matter with Cubic again? Like they gave up or something?
What they tried to do was subsidize their attack by using market dynamics, but that can only take them so far. The problem is they were paying out, effectively they were overpaying the block reward using their own token. But what's going to happen if you're a miner, you're going to take that token that they give you and you're going to sell it on the open market, which drives down their price. So for a period of time, they were able to create this distortion that allowed them to get just enough hash to create disruptive attacks. But ultimately it wasn't sustainable. And so now their price is just crashing into
well, it's basically hit all sorts of new laws.
But Cubic was going to be the next big thing with their AI, and the Cubic was going to be the bee's knees, man. What happened?
What happened is
good news that they failed them.
Who knows? I think a polar bear's
all the bots on YouTube were making videos like Monero is dead and Cubic, all these games and everything's going to come out for Cubic and the AI, and Monero's dead and you should just forget about it.
Well, what doesn't kill Monero will make it stronger. So at the end,
there's some technical changes that we made. I think Tevador had a really interesting proposal that will find its way onto the code and be hardened against that kind of thing. And that'll be sort of we'll move on. It's just nothing that significant.
At the end of the day, you cannot build a perfect fortress without testing the walls. The good thing that we have testers like
and that. Then I should really get down to provide a response to Nika. He's put an issue that I want to respond to.
By the way, Tux had to leave, so unless Doug ends the show, we could have a 5-hour Monerotopia.
I am actually at this point in time hitting time when I really want to get something to eat and then go to bed. Because I'm on European time, and I finally got myself on European time.
Nice.
So,
all right, guys. Well, thanks for
it's not my usual. It's not my usual time when I go to lunch after these things. This one I'm trying to grab a light supper.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, I guess we'll see. Maybe not next week. It's Christmas, but and then I don't know if we're going to have a New Year's show.
It's next week. I don't know if you guys are going to have a show on the 27th.
I doubt it.
Probably not. Anyway, I'll be busy at the CCC anyway.
Well, we'll see you guys after New Year's when the price of gold is at new all-time highs and Monero is probably also at new all-time highs.
Well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and Tux is going to log in and end the show. So,
thanks everyone.
Okay, bye.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Bye. Thank you for joining us on this week's Monerotopia episode. We stream live shows every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can find and subscribe to our show on YouTube, Odyssey, Rumble, Twitch, iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to follow us on X or join us in the Monerotopia Telegram group. See you all next week.